I had the first shift. I jumped straight up in the commander's seat, you know, put my feet, crossed my legs on top of the 30 Kelvin and lit up a smoke. Look, if we see someone out there, it's fire, bang. You don't ring up no bastard, because by the time you do that, you're dead. The next thing, oh, this stench hit us. I went to a cemetery. Yeah, my tank jacks were chewing up bodies left, right and centre. They called the engineers up. There was a 500-pound bomb set to blow about 2 foot in front of me tank.
Were there instances when you just wanted to get out of there?
When the job was done, yeah. When the job was done, yeah, but not beforehand. Never beforehand. Get the grunts out first. And people say, you know, you did a bloody good job. But why didn't they say that back then when we needed it?
Okay. Beginning with the life summary, so we'll begin maybe when and where you're born.
Yeah, born in Melbourne, Royal Women's Hospital, 1951. Went to Westgar Central, that was a primary school there. And then I ventured into the big world and went to Collingwood Tech. And then parents split up, shit hit the fan. I went to live with my grandparents in Sunshine, which is on the other side of Melbourne. Flew to Sydney, borrowed some money off my dad. He didn't know I borrowed it, he soon found out. Then they sent me to a boys' home. I was in there for 2 years. Got out of that, started an apprenticeship as a metallurgist, because I had the education for it and all that. It was the most boring bloody job I've ever done in my life. And I was looking for something different, so I joined the army, yeah. Joined the army there, went to Kapooka, did your basic training, then went to Armoured Centre, we did your corps training, and then walked over a hill, and that's where the tanks were, 1st Armoured Regiment. And stayed there for, apart from a slight detour to Vietnam, stayed there for 12 years.
And just quickly, just a quick brief of your slight detour to Vietnam.
Well, Puckapunyal was the only place that had tanks, you see, so you couldn't be posted anywhere else. We had a camp set up there in Puckapunyal that resembled the setup of the camp in Vietnam. So it was like getting used to where things were located, where the troops were located, and all the rest of the stuff. And so when you went over there, you didn't feel like you just come in from the cold or something like that. You understood where things were and like that. So that's what I meant by the brief break to Vietnam. Yeah, and that was it.
Okay, well, just tell us in brief about actually going to Vietnam, what you did there, and.
Oh well. Once you do your training and they call for a replacement or whatever, see, we weren't like the grunt battalions where they changed the whole grunt battalion over. You see, you went over there as in small little groups or as an individual like I did. And you went up to, there's a place in New South Wales there, I can't think of its name at the moment, Watson's Bay. And you stay there, or they do the final, stuff. They take your ID card off you, and then the last night they let you loose, and so you rage off you into Sydney town like that. And I got back at, well, actually, I didn't get back on time. I woke up in this girl's bed. I said, bloody hell, I've got to get back. I was still drunk. And on the way back, I said to the taxi driver, I said, oh, you better stop, I'll get some hamburgers for the boys, they're probably hungry, So I got this great big pile of hamburgers there, put them in the taxi, and the taxi pulled up, and here's all these blokes on parade, you see, like this. And the taxi driver got out and opened the door, and I fell out, covered in these hamburgers, you see. And the sergeant just looked at me like that and said to two blokes, he said, pick him up, put him to bed, right? Make sure he sleeps at 12 o'clock, shower him, and then front him to me, like that, So, so I was off to a really good start. And that night we flew out and landed at Tonsanut the next morning, and I was still hungover. And that's when they all went in there to change their money into NPC. And I didn't have any money left. I'd blown it all. And I was laying on the concrete there outside where they changed because I was crook as a dog. I was dead because it's quite warm over there, and as soon as you walk off the plane, the heat hits you. And that was the last thing I needed because I was very, very dry. My head was thumping. And yeah, so that's how I made my entrance. I'm sure I wasn't the only one either over the years who actually made their entrance like that. And then later on in the afternoon, they flew us up to Newidat in a Caribou, picked us up and took us to the squadron. And then you started your tour.
And you were in tanks?
Yeah, tanks, yeah, Centurion tanks, yeah. Yeah, we only had the one squadron over there. It's four tanks per troop. We had special equipment, which is a bridge dozer and a bridge layer. We had certain number of APCs, but that was it though, yeah. Oh, plus LAD, which is Ramey. They're the ones, we stuff them, they fix them.
Well, tell us about why you thought the army might be the place to be.
Well, Vietnam was a TV war. Every night you turn the news on and it was there. You didn't have to go fight the war. You saw it in your own lounge room, like that. With certain things happening over there and all the rest, and national service and that. And see, when I was at acclimatization, I was in the cadets. I joined then, mainly just for something to do. Then I was in the CMF about 8 months or something. I think I turned up for one parade, you know. And it was just out of the blue, and I said, well, you know, yeah, I'll join the army. Didn't tell anyone I was doing it. Didn't tell no one I was doing it. Oh, I went back to where I was doing my apprenticeship, and I just said, nah. I said, you can shove it, I've joined the army. And that was it. So within, I think it was within 3 weeks or something, I was in Kapuka doing basic training.
Well, tell us about what kind of tests they gave you when you joined up.
You had a medical, like that. It was a chest X-ray. They checked you over to make sure you had 2 legs and 2 arms and you could see out of your eyes. Then they gave you to make sure you weren't a dodo or a feral or something like that, they gave you a test. One was a maths test and the other one was an English test. Just basically to make sure you could write your own bloody name, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, they were desperate then, right? They really were desperate for blokes for the army. And so, I mean, they waived a lot of things, type thing. So I have a very high instep on my foot. And he looked at that and he goes, anything wrong with your feet? I said, no. I said, they're fine, you know. He said, oh, all right then. Let me in, you know. But that was it, you know. Yeah, I mean, it was... You were thrust into a big washing machine with a lot of other different clothes. And you all had to blend in together. And that's how it was. And then when you went to Kapuka, it was a strange world. Oh, it wasn't so strange to me because, as I said, I was in the CMF previously, you know, so I knew certain things, you know, how to do certain things and how to not do certain things and all that. And I pass it on to the other blokes, you know, how to split polished boots, you know. And how to, you've got to get yourself organised. And that, and oh yeah, you stayed there for 12 weeks. Glad to get out of it, you know.
So tell us about arriving in Kapuka. I mean, actually, you were a Melbourne boy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So did you know about Kapuka before?
No. Oh, we got told we'd be going to. It was called 1 RTB, 1st Recruit Trainer Battalion. And Pucker was 2 RTB, and they had another one at Singleton at the time, it was called 3 RTB. Oh yeah, you went there, you know, this sergeant met us when we got off the bus, you know, it was getting on dark. He goes, right arseholes, my name's God. yeah, I remember him, yeah. And then we had this corporal there who must have been the Army's worst soldier, but he played rugby for New South Wales. Yeah. And, you went through all the basics and like that, you know, the drill, the firing, basically, I don't know, it's like kindergarten. You learn the basics, then you go to primary school, then you learn a little bit more, and then you go to tech school or something, and that's when you're there. That's basically what it was like. And then after you finish, they ask you to bloody, what corps would you like to join? And I wrote down engineers, you see. Oh, it goes up there too, you get all your needles and psych tests and all this. And I wrote down engineers, armour, and then grunts. Oh, sorry, grunts are infantry, right? I refer to them as grunts all the time. And they didn't, my psych report said I had a high clerical aptitude, but a low mechanical aptitude. That's why they didn't give me engineers. So they sent me to armour. Motors. Yeah, that's how stupid it was, you know. I said, well, why did they send me there and there? So anyway, I went to armour. I don't regret it. And
Well, how did you deal with all that, you know, in that initial training at Kapooka, all that sort of discipline that they dish out to the new Army guys?
you had to accept it. If you didn't accept it, or couldn't accept it, which happened in some cases, you were gone. Yeah, you could ask for release, and they would give you release from there. Because it's not for everyone. You know, some people can handle discipline. Being belittled, you know, being called a bloody stupid idiot or something. Some people can't handle that. But you just put it aside, you know. And if you're a regular, 5 or 6 years down the track, you're doing exactly the same thing as what that sergeant and corporal did to you when you first went to the recruit training camp. See? What comes around, yes.
So what year was this when you were at Kapooka?
68.
Okay, so this is, Vietnam had been going for quite a while then.
Yeah, well, our first combat troops went there,
Excuse me.
I think in 65. I think 65, I'm not too sure. And then the other troops went in. Our first tank squadron went there, I think in 68, I think it was, yeah. 68, 69, 70, 71. Yeah, 68. Yeah.
Did you know much about the sort of politics behind it, the communism uprising and...
Oh, yeah, you grew up with that, you know, like that, you know, the Red Peril, like that. Although you weren't too sure exactly what was going to go on until you actually got there. You know, like that. See, there weren't any front lines at all. If you're in a paddy field, he waved to you, you know, yeah. That night, he'd change his hoe or his something like that for an AK-47 and try and kill you, you see. There was no front lines. It was all around you. Like that's the big difference in that war. There was no front lines. So you were in the front line 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year.
Well, tell us about getting over to Armoured Corps. Where were they?
Puckapunyal. Yeah. All Armoured Corps personnel did their corps training at Armoured Centre. Tank drivers, cav drivers, APC drivers, like that. And then off they went, you know, and they either went to 2 cav, 3 cav, 4 cav, and the tank drivers and the gunner SIGs went to the regiment because that's the only place where they had tanks, which is just over the hill.
Well,
Yeah.
how would they sort out what kind of driver you're going to be, for instance?
They ask you,
Oh, okay.
yeah, they say, do you have any preference? And they'd weigh you up, like that, and say, okay, you're on the tank driver's course, you're on a gunner SIG course, you're on a cab course, cab driver's course. And you just went ahead with it, yeah.
So you wanted to be a tank driver?
Yeah, yeah.
How did you know that? Did you know that pretty soon after getting there?
Yeah, yeah.
Because had you been out in a tank?
No, never, no. But if someone was going to be in charge, it was going to be me. Like that, yeah. And I didn't like being in the turret either. That didn't impress me at all. And he did the course. I would have had to have been one of the worst tank drivers to come out of there. First off, yeah.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. It was just hard for me to assimilate a lot of things on it, and but after about a couple of months at the out on the Ranger and all that, everything just clicked. Everything just fell into place, and it was great, like that. But say for about first 4 months, yeah, I was a shocking driver. Yeah, I was a real shocking driver. Yeah.
Well, what would you do? Would you bang into things or?
Oh, I miss gears. It's a 7-speed gearbox, right? 5 forward, 2 reverse. You've got a high and low reverse in the thing like that. You're sitting there, right? I'm not being rude here anyway. And between your legs, right, you've got a great big stick. It's about that long. And on the end's a big black knob, right? That's your gear stick. And that's how you change gears like that. You always tell a tank driver he's got muscles on his left leg like you wouldn't believe. That's when he depresses the clutch. And you've got steering levers on either side like that. That's how you steer the tank. And sometimes you miss a gear. If you miss a gear, it rolls backwards. 52 tonne. Uncontrollable. Especially if the engine's stalled on you. See, if the engine kept on running, if you kept your revs up, you could steer still, right? If you stall the motor, whom, straight down. Yeah, oh yeah.
Would it overturn?
It was possible, yeah.
But you didn't overturn it.
No. You yelled out, Angel! That's how you get the term for it, right? You can't get a gear. Angel. Yeah. So, but things really improved after that, yeah. But, yeah.
Well, who would you, is it kind of like with the Air Force, the crew choose you or you choose the crew?
No, you're put on a crew. Yeah. They say, righto, when you go get up to the regiment, say, okay, you're going to A Squadron or C Squadron, whatever. And you could be the troop leader's driver, you could be the troop sergeant's driver, or the two Bravo and Charlie call sign drivers, I went to a troop sergeant's driver first time. I didn't like him, he didn't like me. It was a perfect relationship, And if I tried to ask him something, I said, look, I'm not too sure about this, he'd just walk away. You see? So, but that all solved itself out, like that. And because I went to another troop, and then I come back to one troop, and I was his driver again. And then after that period, he turned around to me, he goes, boy, he says, you've clicked. You see? So, yeah. And you needed, it was a very skillful job, tank driving. You had to pick the ground you were going across. Not 10 foot in front, a kilometre away. You had to look and say, oh yeah, that's too green over there. I'm not going to go over there, like. Might be boggy ground, nice and lush, and all like this, You try to stay away from trees. Every time you knock down a tree, you've got a kick in your ass, every day was different with tank driving. Certain things might go wrong with the motor, you might get bogged. You're in a new area you're not too sure of, like that. You might miss a gear, which livens up the day. Yeah, I believe it was the best job in a tank.
Can you explain for us, for those who don't know, as like myself, where everybody sits in a tank and what it looks like underneath, you know, inside?
The driver sits in his driver's hole, all right? Oh, the correct term's compartment, but every driver calls it the hole. Get in your hole. Yeah, all right, you know, like that. You're out the front, right? You're there all by yourself, very low to the ground. The rest of the crew are inside. There's a gunner inside, right? And the commander sits behind him, like that. And on the other side there, you've got the operator, what they call the operator. He's the one who does the radios and also loads the main armament and the machine guns. That's it.
There's 4 of you.
Yeah, 4 in a crew, yeah.
And what are the tanks called?
Centurion. Centurion tanks. They're the only tanks we had in Vietnam. You probably hear a lot of other stories. I've heard them myself, that some idiots turn around and say, oh, the Leopard was in Vietnam. The Leopard was not in Vietnam at all. Only the Centurion tanks. That's what the Australians had. The Americans had M60s, M48s, and so the South Vietnamese army. They had M48s, I think, yeah.
But the Australian tanks were called Centurions.
Centurion tanks, yes. Yeah. Oh, what's a...
And what about, you said you were on your own at the front there.
Yeah.
What could you see? Was there obviously a bubble in front of you or something?
No.
Nothing. You're out there on your own.
Yeah, your head's sticking out like that. Like that. Because everything else is under, you know, your gear stick, your steering levers, your clutch, your brake, your accelerator, your seat, which is droppable. You had your 2 hatches. You could close them, but they rarely seal because over the years, you know, no one ever closed their hatches. Sometimes you had a couple of road wheels on the front, you know, spare road wheels like that. And that's about it, yeah. Well, if I sat up like that, that's about it to the ground.
But you'd have your helmet on.
No helmets, just headsets.
Why wouldn't you wear your helmet?
Didn't have helmets in a Centurion tank. Yeah. No helmets. The Cav had, see, we had an old radio system in the Centurion tank, British, and you had to keep on calibrating the frequencies all the time because it'd wander, you see. With the APCs, being American, they had fixed frequencies, right? If you put it on, say, 63.40, it would stay on 63.40. And they had helmets that come with these types of radios and American equipment. But because, see, these Centurion tanks were first made in 1944, right? They didn't see any service in the Second World War. They were too late. They did see service in the Korean War with the British Army. Right? So this is how old these tanks were. So all we had were these little floppy bits of rubber, right? And a thing you had to press so you could talk. No protection whatsoever. Oh, apart from the tank itself.
Did that make you feel a bit vulnerable being out there with your head stuck out?
Someone's got to see. Yeah. And you look at the ground and you pick up a lot of things, you know, especially when you're going through the jungle.
When you say picking up a lot of things, meaning a track, understanding where to go.
Yeah. That was the driver. The commander depended on the driver, right, to pick the right track to go through and like that. That's where your ground appreciation really come into the fore. It's like you driving down a dirt track. Hang on, there's some corrugation, there's a big few dips in there. Okay, I'll slow down, see if I can go around or something like that, you know. That's ground appreciation, but with a tank in the jungle, more so. And you found out where bloody big bomb craters were. I fell into one, 500-pound bomb crater, you know. You couldn't see, the jungle was that thick and the tank went into it, like that.
Could you get it out?
Oh yeah, we finally got it out, all right. Yeah, towed it out. But they make a big hole in the ground.
Can I just ask you what the role of the commander is?
Yeah, he's the one who gives the fire orders. He's the one who's in charge of the tank. he is responsible for being able to do all tasks in that tank. All tasks in the tank. Drive it, become the gunner, and also become the loader if the need arises. He tells the driver where to go sometimes, if he can see, like that. He gives orders to the operator and to the gunner and to the driver, yeah. And he, in turn, is responsible to the troop leader.
And where was it in Victoria where you learned, was it in the core training where you learned ground appreciation?
Yes, yeah. You learn the basics here. It's only a 6-week course, right? You don't come out of there a Michael Schumacher, right? Like that. When you go to the regiment there, that's when you start to learn.
All right, you told me on the first tape that you were someone who didn't like the rules as a young man.
I'm still like that now.
How'd you cope with the army?
It was when I first went to the regiment. It was like, get out and train, work on your tanks. Centurion was an old tank, right? So the maintenance on them was bloody enormous just to keep them going. We had a little bit of a parade, something like that, and then bang, straight onto it, onto your tank. There wasn't no bullshit and regimental parades and all that type of stuff. So, and it was, I don't know, it was just different then, sergeants, you called them by their first name, like that, and your troop leader, if he was good, you called him boss. If he didn't, you called him sir. And that was the same as what it was overseas too. Everyone had first names. We were close knit, very, very close knit thing. But which isn't to say that the discipline wasn't there. Oh yeah, it was certainly there, but we did what we had to do, and we knew if you stuffed up, you got your ass kicked. There was no such thing as charges or what they have now. You take behind the back of the hand, giving a whack over this. Say, don't do it again, dickhead. And that was the end of the story. That was the end. But yeah, the discipline was certainly there. Provided you stayed out of the way of the RSM too. Yeah. No one likes RSMs. No one likes them.
Yeah, so you were coping all right with it all?
Yeah. It was good, your mates, like that, and there was always a fierce competition between the troops, the different troops, which really bolstered morale, and I'm one troop, I'm 4 troop, get out of my way type thing, and who was going to be the first tank back into the harbour like this, and it was good. It was bloody good morale there, yeah. And it was all the time too.
You mentioned close-knit group, like how important was the mateship?
Oh, extremely important indeed. Yeah. They had all the tank drivers in one tent, gunners in another tent, and like that. And I don't know whether we were exceptional or not, but we had a sergeant there called IC Smith, a bloody nice bloke, and he'd walk into our tent and say, righto, get up, time to get up, piss off, we wouldn't get out of bed, but all the others had to. We'd get up when we felt like it. But that was a tank driver. I think I can remember, one was Pete Nation, another one was Mick Everett, who was a crazy bloke, And it was myself, and I can't think of the fourth one. You know, it was just too long ago. But oh no, it was great. You know, there was one fella. He just got promoted to Lance Corporal. Lance Clark, his name was, and he parading around, you know, with the one stripe on the brassard and that, you know. And he walked up to Icky, because that's what we used to call him. And he asked him something, and he called him Icky. And Icky just turned around. He says, "My rank is sergeant," to him like that, you see, to bring him back into line, you know, because he was now an NCO himself, you see. But we could call him Icky. Because we used to say to him all the time, "What are you going to do, bust us? We were troopers, you can't bust us any lower." Yeah, we were a law unto ourselves, I suppose, you know. But don't let any other person hang shit on your troop or anyone else in the troop. Yeah, you know. I mean, there was no brawls or fights. It was just a fierce competition between the troops, which was excellent.
Is that pretty vital when you're forming a team, say in a tank? Or?
Oh yeah, you've got to get on with everyone in the tank. If you've got one individual there that's an arsehole, oh geez, the whole thing gets thrown out of whack. You know, the whole thing gets thrown out of whack. But, no, I was extremely lucky with my crews, especially the first time overseas and that. I knew them all. You know, I just, you know, just trying to see, you can't just say, oh, well, yeah, everything will fall into place 3 months down the track. You know, everything's got to fall into place instantaneously. As soon as you walk into that tent or jump in your driver's hole, bang, you were part of that Rubik's Cube, I suppose, you know, like that, very, very close-knit.
Can it get dangerous if you're not getting on in a tank?
Oh yeah, it can. You know, you got to concentrate. You know, every single minute whilst you're doing your job. You know, if you lose concentration once, you could hit a bad hole or something and injure someone. You know, you know about the bloody tank. That you know you can fix that, but the last thing you want to do is injure someone. You know. Unless it's purely by accident, which can happen too. No, you've got to mix in very well indeed.
And so at Pucker, Paniel, how long were you there for training on the tanks and getting competent?
Well, after, as I said, the 6-week driver's course, you went there. I was there for about probably think about 9 months, 10 months or something, you know, and I was getting cheesed off because other blokes were going over there, you know, and then I got called in one day and he said, "You're going," you know, like that. And I said, "Oh, yeah, great," you know, like that. And all of a sudden he said, "Shit." Yeah, good, because in the meantime they sent you up to Canungra for 3 weeks, jungle training up there, you know. I hate that place. I hate it today still, you know, shocking place. Heartbreak bloody hill and bloody all these swinging bridges and, oh yeah, snakes up there like you wouldn't believe. But that was only for 3 weeks, so that was good.
How good did you feel at your job, tank driving, after 9 months?
Excellent. Yeah, excellent. You know, yeah, very, very... at times probably a little bit overconfident, you know, which I suppose isn't a bad thing, providing you learn how to control it. But knowing exactly what your job is, and being able to perform the tasks, the maintenance tasks, listen to the what your crew's telling you, you know, where to go here, go there, and all the rest of the stuff, and you got to make up your mind, say, oh shit, that corner's a bit tight, you know, I'll slam it down a couple of gears, you know. Or if you go through a boggy patch, you know, you got to go from 5th to 1st in a blink of an eye, you know, and like that. And hopefully, you know, you'll pick that bloody gear up, you know. Very, very confident, extremely confident, yeah. Otherwise, you know, something bad could have happened, you know, like that, yeah. No, all the crews over there, irrespective, there are a couple of arseholes, you know, I mean, you never find the perfect thing, and who, I shouldn't be here and stuff like this, you know, you say, shut up, you know, like that. And but they did their job, and that was fine. But everyone was an expert in whatever they did. Yeah, they had to be, you know, yeah.
You said your first reaction to getting the news of going to Vietnam was good.
Yeah, you know, I said about time, you know, like this. And because then you had to fill out paperwork and they sent you on leave and that. And then you go through all the rigmarole, you know, buying hamburgers and falling out of taxis drunk and that. And then you're there, you know, all of a sudden, bang, I'm here. Shit. Well, you can't say I want to go home, you know, or I want my mummy or something like that, you know, yeah. And you got to resign yourself, well, I'm here for 12 months. And you go to the mess and all the other blokes are in there, you know, and they're saying, hey, about time you got here and all this, you know, and you see them all, and then you go to the booze and you got to walk up to a wall and you got to write on it 365 days to go. Yeah. Yeah, because when you're due to come home, 14 days prior to you're given these, what they call happy pills. They just flush your body out of any foreign bugs, germs, objects, or whatever you might have in you. And you're right up there on the wall, 14 days to go, 13 days to go, you know. And then when you're leaving the next morning, you're right on it, I'm not short, I'm next. You know, like that, yeah. It was just something to do, you know, yeah. But, yeah, I'll never forget that, yeah.
Why did you want to go? What kind of reasons?
I accepted the fact that I would probably go, right, because otherwise I wouldn't have joined the army. So when it's like in your job here, right, if you might be a superb cameraman and like that, but if you didn't have the gift of getting a person to talk, you'd be no good at your job, right? So you knew when you went into this field, right, you had to be confident, know exactly what you're doing, being able to put a person at ease, and that's it, yeah.
It's kind of what training to do a job.
Yeah, that's exactly right, yeah. And you knew at a certain time, at the end, you were going to go. You were going to have to go out there, right, into the real world, right, and start doing what you do. And we did what we did.
It's kind of pointless training and not using it too.
That's exactly right, yeah, that's exactly right, yeah. That's all I got to say on that, you know, I mean, yeah.
Well, how was the plane trip?
Oh, it wasn't too bad. Qantas were generous in flying us over. They gave us these cloths, you know, and refresher cloths, you know, as soon as you got on the plane, you know, and I needed something like that, you know, and I went, oh, yeah, this is great. And then he came up and he said, oh, you know, compliments of Qantas, and gave us some beers. I went, oh, shit, you know, that's the last thing I needed. But I drank them anyway, you know, so, yeah. Because then you could smoke on planes and all that, and then we went to, I think we landed in somewhere in Singapore or something like that. We weren't allowed out of the terminal there because, you know, and we had to change our polyester shirt into a civilian shirt. Why? I have no idea. Something to do with politics or something like that. And we stayed there, they refueled the plane, then he landed at Tonsanut.
Well, you told us you were lying down on the tarmac.
Yeah. As soon as I opened up the door, the heat just went whacking you straight away like this, and the smell, and I went, oh, geez, I really need this, And we got our bags, and they're all outside there on the concrete, and they called, as I said earlier, they called us in, to change, Australian currency into MPC. I didn't have a red cent left on me. I must have blown everything, And I'm starting to feel really crook as the heat, so I'm just laying there like this. But I picked up soon after, yeah. I must admit I did pick up soon after, yeah. And then they flew us up to Nui Dat in a caribou, landed at Luscombe International Airport. Not really an international airport, it's a strip. Everyone called it Luscombe International Airport. And got picked up in a Land Rover and they took you back to the squadron. And there you started. Yeah. It was good. They gave you 2 weeks to acclimatise, without exerting yourself and like that, because the heat was very, very oppressive. And you learnt the codes. They test-fired your weapon and just basically introduce you to the surrounding area, what it was like and all the rest of stuff, get used to where all the other things were. You got your laundry number. Basically that was it, yeah. That was done in the first 2 weeks.
Well, what were you thinking about the place? You mentioned the heat. What was the smell like?
Oh, it stinks. The heat's still bad. The dust. Oh, yeah, that red dust. Jesus. It got into everything. It basically got into everything. And, because first off they gave me this bloody elephant gun, which is an SLR, but it's a automatic, and I looked at this thing and I said, what the bloody hell is this? It weighed more than what I did, I reckon, So I carried that around for, I think, a week or so, and I said, and I gave it back. I said, I don't want to bloody... So you weren't allowed outside the wire unless you had a weapon, you see. And then when I went to 2 Troop, I went back to the store, I said, I want a pistol. I said, I'm a tank driver, I'm entitled to one. So I got my pistol, yeah. Totally bloody useless, But I mean, in the driver's eye, you can't have some bloody, great big, huge bloody thing, sitting there like that. So, yeah, I had a pistol.
Well, tell us about that initial orientation. Like, what were they showing you? What were they saying to you?
But a little bit about their culture, as I said, learning the codes, call signs, about choppers, speed limits. No one talking knows the speed limits anyway. And that would only last a couple of hours in the morning, and then they just let you go, like that. And as I said, you just walked around, like that. And then they said, oh, okay, tomorrow you're going to 2 Troop. I said, oh, yeah. I said, oh, what call sign? They said 2 Charlie, and I said, yes. See, Charlie always leads, you see. Other buzzers eat your dust. Charlie always leads. But then again, if the shit happens, Charlie's always the first one to get hit. And I had a bloody good crew. They taught me a lot in the short time that they remained. It was Mickey Lola. He was the crew commander. Mick, lovely, bloody nice guy. Buck Conway, he was a gunner. I think Buck was a Nashville or something. I'm not too sure. He was a bloody nice bloke. And Billy Baldwin, he was the operator. And bloody good crew. Bloody good crew. Taught me a lot, yeah.
Were they already over there before?
Yeah. Yeah, the driver, he went home. And so I logs in to replace him. So, as I said before, there wasn't like a grunt battalion where the whole grunt battalion goes home, like that. we went over there, apart from the initial squadron, of course, you know, we went over there as in dribs and drabs. Actually, we had a cook come with us, come up to the squadron, and he was a bloody good cook too, and a nice bloke too, bloody good cook. I think we gave him a black beret to wear, which we don't give to a lot of people, you know, because all the other riffraff, they wear blue berets, you know, armour wear black berets. And no, he was a nice bloke, yeah, good cook. Rare in the army to find a good cook, trust me, very rare. And after that, it was just, yeah, operations, yeah.
Well, tell us, you had those official briefings. What were like the unofficial, just the chat amongst the blokes?
Oh, yeah. What happened on the last swimming trip, or what happened on the last R&R trip, and bloody stuff like that. It's hard to remember. Sometimes it's your job in the morning to bring in some jerry cans so we can, you know, shave in there, stuff like that. Making sure that everyone was riding the tanks. Who was going out on ambush, who was going to do picket duty, who was just, yeah, stuff that we accepted as normal, yeah.
What were they telling you about the place and the people and the enemy, those kind of things?
About the Geneva Convention. They got thrown out the window. How to respect them, understand their living conditions, the types of food, all the funny stuff like that. But yeah, that was about it, yeah.
I got a meeting more the blokes, just like at the mess, having a beer. What were they telling you? Like,
the red ants. Yeah, they bloody shit things. God, the antennas used to knock them down out of the trees, their nests, and they'd land behind you where you couldn't see them, you know, and then they'd climb up on the lead behind and bite you on the back of the neck. Oh, and they hurt. Oh, they used to stand up and go, goo, like this, and take a bite out of your neck like that. Oh, yeah, they were mongrel things, you know. Yanks used to have this fly spray, and it was deadly, this stuff. It kills humans, you know, let alone bugs, you know, and just huge cans of it, you know, like this, you know. But it was, yeah, they were really, they'd bite you. You know, little things like they teach you always up in your boots, because I see a scorpion could get in there. Your mozzies, you know, over there, times, places to stay away from. Yeah, that's about it, yeah.
well, tell us about, like, maybe first time you went out beyond the perimeter in the tanks.
I honestly can't remember. I know I went down the wrong road. The bastard set me up, because to get out of the squadron area, you had to go down past the LAD, and then you do a sharp lefty and go out the back way, you see, and a couple of blokes said, playing a practical joke, they said, oh no, you keep on going down that main road. I was heading towards the major workshops, you know. And Mick's saying, stop. He says, do you know where you're going? I said, yeah, the folks told me to go down there. He says, no, come back this way, you know, like that. I think we went on the highways, which upset Mick a little bit, because I was still used to driving in Australia on the left-hand side. I said, over there, you've got to change, you see. And he's saying, get over. I said, well, who's going to argue with a 52-ton tank? But, well, once you understood that, you know, that was something no one ever told me, you know, or I didn't realise myself, that, you know, you had to drive on the other side of the road. But, yeah, and just to see another country and the way they were and all that compared to what you were used to, like that. And, yeah, very interesting. But the first time I went out, I can't remember, apart from that first initial part, you know. I think it was just a run type thing, you know, show your presence, stuff like that. But no, I cannot honestly, yeah.
I guess they would have done that a few times for you because you just arrived, given you a few runs and drive around to see the terrain.
Yeah, every time you went outside the wire, actually, hang on, I think, yeah, it was down to the, round about what we used to call the Nui Tivais, the Warbies. They look like the mountains of Warburton. Yeah, so instead of calling them the Nui Tivais, we call them the Warbies. And yeah, we're in with some grunts there. Yeah, and we had a big cleared area in front of us, well, right around us like that, and the tanks were there with the grunts. Yeah, yes, that was the first time, because I remember Buck Conway chasing me because I did something to him. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was the first time. Yeah.
So what had you done to him?
I don't know. I played a practical joke on him or something, or a trick on him or something. You know, I don't think he saw the funny side. I think he was going to kill me. But he was laughing about it like that. So yeah. Well, I can't remember what it was. It was just too far back. But our troop leader, Bugsy Malone, his last name was Malone. He was a bloody good officer. He was a really good officer. Yeah. He was the one we called boss. Yeah. Yeah, I think he yelled out, he says, "You two bloody idiots, get back in here." So, very gingerly, you know. But yeah, that was the first time, yeah, on an actual doing something out there, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you were outside of the tank running around?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So you'd stop somewhere or something?
Yeah, we were. We were in an area with some grunts and that, and later on that night we fired. There were some lights on the Nui Tivais, and you wouldn't hit anyone up there. You know, they used to light little fires in the fronts of caves, so you'd fire at the light. You see. And yeah, I remember that. Yeah, they fired the bloody. Fired some HE and all that, and I went, oh yeah, you know, whoopee, you know. And then, yeah, that was it, yeah. Nothing real exciting, but it was the first time outside the wire, right? And you started to think, shit, you know, and whether you realise it or not, you were switched on to that high degree that all the training you'd done previously come into effect, whether you realise it or not. Yeah.
Was it like automatic pilot or something?
Yeah, it was. You know, all of a sudden, if they say, oh, you've got to go out, you say, righto, as soon as you jump in the tank, bang, you were there. You know, even before you got outside the wire, you were automatically there. It was like that high level and like that. And you stayed that way. You know, yeah, you might have had a joke or something like that, but you never lost that high level of concentration. Never at all. And you're always looking at stuff and observing and, oh, is everything all right down there and stuff. And yeah, that never went. That never went far away at all. Never went far away at all. I think that's why a lot of blokes, when they come back in from operations, and it didn't matter what corps you were, whether you're a grunt or artillery, engineers, armour, all like that, and you come back, and when you're inside the wire, you see them slump a little bit. The blokes slump a little bit because they've been on that high concentration for such that period of time, and it's like letting out a big breath of air, and you go, oh, like that, and yeah.
Well, describe for us how your eyes work, for example, as you're driving.
Oh, when you're driving, they're like bloody hell. They're like they're loose. You know, they're observing so many things. You know, you're looking, if you're on the radio, you're looking at, and you're also gathering in the sides as well. And not only you're looking down on your gauges too to make sure you don't blow up a motor, you know, with oil or temperature-wise. Your fuel and all that. And you just, they're all over the place. They're all over the place. You never concentrate on any one thing like that. It's like, what do they call it, spherical vision or something like that, where you're out there, you know. Yeah, that's about it. You know, your eyes, they want. Even now, and you ask a lot of vets like that, we look down on the ground. We always look down on the ground. Don't ask me why, but we do, to see what's there, to see what is there. We still do it today, yeah.
Maybe mines or something, yeah? Or
I don't know. See where you're going. Mines, oh yeah, for sure, yeah. But it's funny. We'll pick a certain spot on a person, and then we'll boom, go down that way, like that. Why we do it? Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I even do it when I'm walking around here. I'm like that. Yeah. As soon as I go outside that door there, I'm looking around like that. Why? You know, it's something that's ingrained in you, and it'll never go away. It will never go away. You'll take that to your death. And that goes for, you know, all veterans, you know, World War II, Korean, bloody, you know, and all the blokes like that too, yeah. They're all the same. Always look down on the ground. Probably nothing there. People say, "Why, you drop $1 or something, did you?" You know.
It's a high level of concentration. It must cause a bit of like stress in a way, like.
Oh yeah, when your concentration is extremely high. And when something doesn't go right or doesn't go to plan, you know, you can get snappy. You can get snappy like that. Like you're driving through, you know, and it's a stinking hot bloody day, and all of a sudden your fan belts break. Oh shit! You know, you got to lift up these mongrel transmission decks and bloody thumping, groping radiators, and as soon as you do that, you know, it's about 400 degrees sitting on the gearbox, right? You're getting a burnt ass trying to change bloody fan belts because you didn't wear jocks over there. Right? Jocks or socks. Jocks and socks were a no-no because heat rash, sweat, you know, and all like that. So when you sat on a bloody hot gearbox, by jizzy, you learn to change, you know, fan belts real quick. Otherwise you've got a blister on your ass. But, you know, little things like that, you know, just throws just puts a little bit of a hiccup into it, like that. But that normally happens, say, towards the end of something, never at the beginning, mainly heading towards the end of it, like that. And where you've had to concentrate for such a length of time, you know, and even though you're still alert, your preparedness is slowly dropping fractionally down, you know. I found out with some blokes when they were getting really short, right? They had about 2 or 3 days to go before the 14 days started, like that, you know. That you actually see it in them, you know. You say, "Oh God, I've got to go out again," you know, like this, and you know, even though you knew they were alert and they'd do their job, you know, perfectly like that, you could actually see it and feel it to say, "Oh shit, I've got to go out again," like that. But as I said, the alertness was still there. Yeah. It's a funny thing, very funny thing.
And Heather touched on it, but being a driver, you must have felt a bit vulnerable with your head above at times.
Not really. I mean, you had to see. I think it was accepted. I mean, you're in a war zone, you know. I mean, if you couldn't see properly, you know. It's like you driving down a Bruce highway and Edda turns around and puts her hands over your eyes and say, how's your night vision? You know, like that. See, scare the hell out of you, right? But you understand that you've got to have vision to see where you're going. Yeah.
So you just accepted it?
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
What about when you stopped for a repair? Was that, you know, a bit vulnerable?
Yeah, well, that's why you got 3 other tanks. You see, they come around you like that. You do your repairs, they stay in there. Oh, a lot depends on where you are too, you know, type things. But and the other drivers, all the drivers would jump in and help. You see, so you got the job done quickly. Back down, in your holes, off you go.
Bucker, can you tell us about the Nui Dat setup that you had there in Vietnam?
Well, basically, with the other arms you had there, you know, the grunts, the artillery, SAS, the engineers, Ramey, and the tank squadron, it was a very defensive position, all-round defensive position, and you had wire all around you. It was just, it was like a big house, and you had your area, they had their areas, no one encroached on other people's areas or anything like that, and that was basically the DAT. Yeah.
So you stayed with your own men?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, mixing wasn't on the cards really. No. Oh, the main blokes that we mixed with was LAD, which is the Light A detachment from Ramey, who were with the tank squad, and they fixed what we broke. You know, and they were good too. Nice bunch of blokes, really nice bunch of blokes. Who did a really good job, an excellent job, yes.
Did you get to know any of the blokes in infantry, for example?
Oh, not really. Engineers more so, yeah. We used to work a lot with the mine dogs. But not on all the time when you went outside. Sometimes you might have to clear a path through a certain area, and you'd have a couple of engineers there with mine detectors and that. And I used to sit on the front guards of the tank, and they'd say, when I say stop, you stop, because he may have spotted what could be or was a mine like that. And I remember putting one on his ass one time. He was sitting there, and we knew there was mines there, but we didn't know what size or whatever. And he says, when I say stop, you stop. I said, yeah, all right. You know, I'll stop the bloody tank. And if you hit the brake at the same time and disconnected something in the gearbox, you could pull on both steering levers at the same time, which increased your stopping power. And I did that, and he slid off. And he got back on. I won't tell you what he said, but he abused the hell out of me. And but that was it. Yeah. So when he slid off, he could have landed his bum on a mine. You know, for all I know. You know. Yeah. But when they say stop, you stop. You know. So yeah, that was it. But he was a good bloke. Yeah. Actually, he had to unfortunately shoot his mine dog. The Australian government, in all their wisdom, would not allow the dogs to be brought back to Australia. So they all had to be put down. And that's something I will never forgive the government for. Never forgive the government for. The families of the blokes who actually had the mine dogs, you know, offered to pay for the quarantine, the flights, everything, if they could keep the dogs. The Australian government said no. So all those dogs, beautiful dogs.
That saved people's lives.
Yeah, and he sacrificed themselves too. All had to be put down. And that's something I'll never forgive the government for. never forgive them, because I saw the dogs in action. You know, they were brilliant. You know, like that. And that's all I want to say on that.
Yeah, I think that's horrible. Now, have we talked about the turning circle in the tank? How far? I mean, you can't do a 3-point turn in the tank, can you?
Yeah, easy. Yeah. Actually, you can do a neutral turn, what they call a neutral turn. And it turns in its own space. Yes, which means that one track goes faster and the other one doesn't. And it turns like that. And it will not go out of its turning circle like that. Actually, it's got better steering than a car. Yeah. That's what's called a neutral turn. You put the gear lever in neutral, build your revs up a little bit, and pull on a stick, and it'll go that direction. Or pull the other stick and it'll go the other direction. Yeah. It's called a neutral turn.
So, but you must have got pretty quick at using this, what did you call them, the levers, the steering levers.
Yeah.
And the gear stick.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you need 4 hands. I mean, how...
Yeah, it's... When you change your gears, and what they used to call a stick change, you flick the steering lever, which just relieve that tiny little bit of pressure on the gearbox, like that, and then shove the gear lever through. And you know how you change normal gears in a car? You had to be 100 times quicker changing gears in a tank. Like, that was it, from one gear to another. And the same coming down. Coming down was double clutch. You ever driven a truck?
Yes.
Clutch, accelerator, neutral, clutch, rev on the accelerator, and back into a lower gear. Now, that took me, 5 seconds to say that, 7 seconds to say that. You had to break that down to a fraction of that time. Like,
well, it wasn't...
That was it, the gear.
Now, you're telling us off camera at the start of the day that you were able to take the kidney plate off.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that-
yeah.
and so that you could make it go an extra 10 miles an hour, is that
Oh,
right?
yeah. It was unscrewing the governors, and some blokes left them in like that, but you took them all the way out, threw them, put the covers back on. Oh, yeah, he had heaps of power.
Was that better though?
Yeah. I mean, 21.5 mile an hour, right? And once you reach, and that was at 2,550 RPM, right? Once you went above that, the motor was going bang, bang, coming out through these Venturis down there. And everyone hated the noise. So, unscrewed them, threw them.
Did you have to put them back on for when you were inspected?
We were never inspected. Not the tanks anyway. They were ours. No one inspected the tank. They probably would have had a heart attack if they found some of the stuff we had in them. Yeah.
I've heard about some blokes would actually sleep under them because they were better protection.
No, that's... I can't speak for the cav units, but no one ever slept under a tank because they can sink. And if you're under the tank and asleep and that tank sinks, bye-bye, you're dead. Yeah, no, I never heard of anyone sleeping under a tank.
I think it was under an American tank when they were being shelled or something as a way of...
Yeah, that's quite possible. Yeah, I have no idea, but I honestly haven't heard of any Australian tankie sleeping under their tank. We either slept on the transmission decks, which were flat, hard but flat, or we slept in our positions, like the driver's hole inside the tank, like that at times. But no, never under a tank. No, it was just... it was stupid. It was a stupid thing to do, yeah, because they can sink.
Tell us about... you're talking with Kiernan before about your first operations and what have you, and the new code system. What was new about it?
It was, see, in Australia we have codes and that we use, you know, you pick certain numbers at random and all the rest of stuff. Over there you had to work in with the Americans, you see, and this was a really simple reason. It was like a clock on a cardboard background, and you flicked it through, pushed it, and all the rest of stuff, and you had to learn how to send a message in code if it needed to be sent in code like that. I honestly never used it myself. That was mainly for the commander and the operator. But you did have to know how to use it in case you were in a position where you had to use it. But it was a really simple thing. And at last, it was changed every 24 hours. That's how simple it was. Yeah, every 24 hours. So, yeah.
Now, did you get, I know you talked about the mateship, but did you have one particular friend who you could really talk to?
You didn't really need to talk. No, you didn't really need to talk. If you know, not to that degree anyway. Certainly not to that degree at all. If you had a personal problem, there was a salvo bloke there you could talk to. People say to me today, they say, "Oh, yeah, you could have talked to the welfare officer in your unit." And I turn around and said, "What bloody welfare officer? We never had one. Or if we did have one, no one told us about it." Like that. So, no, you sat there with a couple of blokes sometimes, you know, over a couple of beers, and you just talk this way and talk that way like that. It was, but apart from that, no. You knew who you could depend on without going to that extreme.
Now, can you tell us about, you talked about setting up an ambush, well, actually doing an ambush, but how did you actually set one up? How did you set an ambush up?
Well, they used to call them the Warlong ambush. But it was basically just to disrupt anything that might have been going on, you know. I don't know whether they were effective or not. Used to leave about 16:30, which is 4:30, probably 5 o'clock sometimes, and you go out there, you'd pull into the position, or just short of the actual ambush position, sit there for half an hour, and they'd move actually into the ambush position. This, they say, it used to confuse them. It used to confuse us, let alone them. And then all the motors were turned off at the same time. And all the tanks were back to back like that, 2 there and 2 on the other side there. So you could walk on all 4 tanks without putting a foot on the ground. And you just sat there all night. There was 50% stand to, which means 2 of the tanks were manned all night. Nothing happened during that night. Next morning, got the tank, boom, drove back to the DAT. That's it. We did have a CMF. We did have a CMF officer come out with us one time on an ambush, you know. And once we got into position there, he was, because I got out, jumped straight up. I had the first shift. I jumped straight up in the commander's seat, you know, put my feet, crossed my legs on top of the 30 caliber and lit up a smoke. You see? This is what it was like. And he looked at me like this. He goes, "What happens if we see anyone?" I said, "See who?" He said, "We see any, you know, VC out there." I said, "Well," and I didn't bullshit to or nothing like that. I said, "Well, first off, we've got to get on the radio." And he looked at me. I said, "Then we've got to ring back to our base at the DAT. Then they've got to get on the task force. And then they'll get back to us whether they give us permission to fire or not and all the rest." And he looked at me, he goes, "You have my permission to open fire?" It's at the first sign of the... he was panic-stricken like this. And we said, "Yeah, righto," you know, like that. But he was deadly serious about it. Oh, yeah.
Would his permission have been enough?
No. Look, if we see someone out there, it's fire, bang. You don't ring up no bastard, because by the time you do that, you're dead. Yeah.
So that was a standard line. Were you supposed to do that?
Yeah,
but nobody did it.
We were supposed to do that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Supposed to.
Something that occurred to me was, if you're in this hole and your head's popping out,
Yeah.
what would you do if the enemy approached you? Or was
Well-
firing at you, you know what I mean? Like you're the eyes
Well,
of the tank.
Yeah, the commander would take immediate action and say, just fire like that. There was always a canister around in the barrel anyway, ready to go.
In your barrel.
No, the main armament, the
Okay.
20-pounder barrel,
Yeah.
like that. It was just a big shotgun round.
But did you have a gun as well?
Yeah, a pistol. But as I said earlier, it was basically useless, you know, like that. But you had to have one. Yeah, just fire. Bang, let it go. Yeah. If I saw him first, yeah. But the crew commander could see more because he was up there like that, whereas you were basically on ground level. No, you didn't give a damn. You just said fire. Yeah. And hell with the consequences, if there was any.
Can you walk us through one of your operations or an ambush that was particularly remarkable to you?
Yeah, when we saved the Kiwis, I didn't save them, we got them out of a real sticky situation. We were a few clicks away and we got a reaction call to get in there and help them to get them out. And I was the driver of Charlie call sign and bloody, I'm hammering it through the jungle. I'm just pushing everything out of the way. And we come past this village and all of a sudden my tank started to dip like this, side to side. And I said, what the bloody hell's going on here? And I'm changing gears like I've never changed gears before in my life. The next thing, this stench hit us. I went through a cemetery. Yeah. My tank tracks were chewing up bodies left, right and centre. I didn't know it was a cemetery. I mean, they don't have signs like us that says cemetery. And the ground was all soft. You
So
see?
then, are they new graves?
Well, new and old. See, they just put them in the ground. There's no such thing as what we use, you know, boxes and all the rest of the stuff, you know, and like that. Next minute, there's parts of bodies being tossed everywhere. And I'm trying to get my tank out through this stuff.
Did you?
Yeah, I finally got my tank out, yeah. And then once we got the Kiwis, we got them on the backs of the tanks and pulled them out of the position they were in. It was fine, yeah. Except when I got back, I had to change all the tracks, the road wheels, everything, because of the stench. It wouldn't wash off, so we had to change it all.
Was that quite common that you'd actually be called out to help the infantry?
No, that was our job. That was our job, infantry support, direct support, not like artillery, which is indirect support. We were direct support like that because we had the firepower.
So you must have seen quite a lot of conflict with.
Some, yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And were there instances when you just wanted to get out of there?
When the job was done, yeah. When the job was done, yeah, but not beforehand. Never beforehand. Get the grunts out first, right? We go in with the firepower, try to use that to our best advantage, and then see what happens after that. Yeah. But that's it. Yeah.
So you'd have to, kind of like a fireman, you'd have to wait for the call.
Oh, yes and no, I suppose. You know, if the grunts needed firepower, we could provide it there and then on the spot. If we were there, if not, we got there as quick as we could, and vice versa. If we got into shit, we needed infantry support, right? Because they're the ones that can get on the ground. We can't get on the ground. We ask for support too. Yeah. So it's like Peter pay Paul. Yeah, that was about it, yeah. For that operation anyway, it was, yeah.
Well, tell us about, there must have been a sort of, I don't know, dread going, you have to go out again, you know, when you got the call. But there must have been a sense of satisfaction being able to help people.
Oh, look, there was no sense of self-satisfaction. It was, if we could inflict more deaths on them and save our blokes' lives, you know, we achieved our job. Irrespective of how we did it, whether innocents were killed, maimed, whatever, you know, we just didn't give a shit, right? Our job was to bloody, well, I suppose, to kill them, yeah, and keep our blokes, if possible, alive. And that was it, yeah. I have no remorse about that whatsoever. No remorse. Whether we might have a couple of times killed an innocent person, I have no idea. But if it happened, stiff, you know, and that's all I can say about it, yeah.
And you must have been quite close to actually seeing the Vietnamese people because you were right up there at the front.
What are you talking about? Normal Vietnamese or VC or bloody hardcore or
VC.
Yeah. Well, see, they're called Viet Cong. You know, Viet Minh, hardcore VC, and then you got NVA regulars. Yeah, I saw them up close, all right. Yeah. Didn't like it, but they didn't stay around for long. You know, they were out to do a job on you. You were out to do a job on them. Whoever was quicker on the trigger, they're the ones who normally walked away. Some did, some didn't.
All right. Well, tell us about the cultural shock of actually being there in Vietnam after a lifetime in Australia. I mean, what about the food?
Food was superb. Yeah, it really was. The food was superb. Apart from the army rations, of course. No, they used to have these little villages on the sides of roads, little ovens, bread, and they used to make up what they called hepo rolls, hepatitis rolls. You know, because our medical people said, if you eat that food, you'll get hepatitis. And these were salad rolls about this long with meat. Don't ask me what type of meat, all right? And salads, beautiful salads like that, and they were absolutely bloody beautiful.
Did you get hepatitis?
No, and I ate tons of them. They were beautiful. Oh, yeah. Their rices, their other dishes and all that, providing you didn't query where the meat come from, that was one of the biggest things. It was fantastic. Yeah, no complaints about that. No complaints whatsoever. Yeah. Although, down at Vung Tau one time, we left the bar and we said, we better get something to eat. And so we went across the road, went up top there. It was just like a normal Chinese takeaway, you know, like that. And we ordered this food. And we went over to the window, have a smoke, and we looked out, and here they are, Dan Billet butchering a horse. You know, so as I said, never question the meat that was in your food. Never question the meat that was in your food.
You might have eaten dog or something.
Who cares? But the bloody tasted beautiful. Yeah.
Now, this is something that getting organised and responding to the call of action. Can you just explain, for the benefit of the archive, how exactly responding to the battalion, responding to the infantry's call of action, would it happen? I mean, there were 4 tanks.
Yeah, in a troop. Yeah.
Who would say, all right, you are going to go this in the convoy, you are going to do this, this is where we need to go?
Our OC would decide that. He would get the call from task force, whatever, and the message would be passed down to our troop leader, and then orders would come down through that. Being a tank driver at the front, we weren't privy to all these radio transmissions that were going on. Crew commander said, righto, let's go, move it. And that's it. And off you went. Yeah. And he would direct you where to go. Yeah. Until you got there. And then when you got close, you say, righto, slow down. You know, you were within, say, 500 metres. So you slow down, you know, and that's it. But actually, how the wording come down through from task force, I have no idea, because we weren't privy to that information. The crew commander spoke to you, you spoke back to the crew commander, and that's as far as it goes. Yeah, from the tank driver's point of view, anyway. Yeah.
Now you said that you didn't mix really very much outside your group.
No.
But did you get to know any of the Americans?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell us what you thought of the Americans there?
They were, they were a good bunch of blokes and I'm only talking from a trooper's point of view. There was no problems with it. They were good. They were good fighters. They would do anything to support us. Anything to support us. Yeah. They actually come down one time where some of our blokes were hit and the Australian chopper pilots would not land because it was hot. The LZ was hot, which means incoming fire across the LZ, and the Americans come in and landed in their choppers to get the blokes out. I say no more. That's how much I respect the Americans, the chopper pilots, and also some of their grunts too. Yeah, exceptionally good. Very unpredictable was the American fighting man. Very unpredictable.
What do you mean by that?
You've probably heard stories of them walking through the jungle there with their rifles over, you know, transistor and K. That happened. Sure, that happened. But the majority didn't do that. They were really on the spot. They knew what they were doing. They knew their lives depended on it, like that. So you see a lot of the, you know, films and stories and all the rest of the stuff. I wouldn't put a lot of faith in that. Would not put a lot of faith in that whatsoever.
Bugger, I wonder if you'd mind if we could talk a little bit over what happened with the Kiwis, because I kind of glided over it, or is that as much as you'd like to tell us?
Yeah, afterwards, when we got the Kiwis back, we went back in with the tanks, and that's when we got hit. And that's when we fired that RPG, hit the tree landed on me. The gunner and the operator, they got me out. They brought in, they had another driver there, put him in, and then he went forward and bang, he got hit as well. A lot more serious than what I did. And I think to this day he still blames me for it. And we lost a fella, Phil Barwick, one of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. He was a national serviceman, lost both his eyes. Phil Anderson, the crew commander, lost half an arm, and a lot of us others got small wounds and all like that, and that's what happened. And they were all casevaced out. And that's basically all I want to say about that.
Did you pick up at all, was there any animosity or ill feelings between the enlisted men and the national servicemen?
No. Well, not in my unit. We're all over there to do a job. And I'll say this to the credit of national servicemen, you know, they went over there, they didn't ask to go there, they got picked to go over there, and they did a fantastic bloody job. They really did, yeah. An excellent job, yeah. No, I have the utmost respect for national servicemen, yeah. They did a bloody good job, an excellent job.
Because a lot of them stayed in the army, didn't they?
Yeah, a lot of them did, surprisingly, you know. Although a lot of them, when they came back and they were discharged, you know, automatically, 12 months down the track, they come back and rejoin the army. And which I was quite surprised at, you know. I thought, you know, have you got any sense, fellas? Once you're out, run, you know, don't come back, you know. But it was very surprising that.
And Bugger, did you know about all the public and student protests that were taking place about Vietnam at that point in time?
Yes and no. I mean, we didn't get newspapers. We certainly didn't have TV, and it was like it was hidden from us. Their parents, girlfriends, whatever, didn't elaborate on it because they, you know, we had enough to worry about over there without worrying about, you know, what was going on behind. But we knew there was dissension, you know, in Australia, what we heard from the national servicemen themselves about what was going on. But that was a long way away from where we were, so we just put it out of our minds. Yeah, it was only when we got back that we actually realised, you know, what the hell was going on. And once we realised that, we said, bloody hell, what have we done? What have we done? Yeah. And it's still like that today. What did we do wrong? As far as I'm concerned, we did nothing wrong. You know, we went there, we fought a war, we did a bloody good job, and if the politicians would have shut up and kept out of it, we would have won the war. We would have won the war. Easy.
All right, well, tell us about what you do, you guys, what you blokes, what would you do to unwind?
Well, after you come back, you service your tank, you refueled it, you restocked it with ammunition, you cleaned the inside of it because all the stuff in the jungle falling in, you know, like that. Then you went and had showers, and you probably went down the boozer. That was it. I mean, they had films there, you know, but films. Sometimes you felt like watching them, other times you didn't feel like watching them, you know.
Sorry, can you remember any of the names of the films that were shown there?
Oh, yeah, Woodstock. Yeah, Woodstock, yeah. That was a great film. Yeah. I can't tell you about Woodstock because it involves swear words. And what a certain bloke did to a certain officer's dessert. So, yeah.
Can you tell me?
No. Oh, I think it was Mick Everett again. We were both stewards in the officers' mess. You know, you did a week about it if you're back in camp. And our OC was delayed and he wouldn't be back, and they were starting the show of Woodstock, you know, and we got really pissed off with this, you know, because we really wanted to go. And he came back and he wanted his meal and his dessert, you know, so Pommy pissed in his sweets and gave it to him. And he came back, he goes, God, those sweets were nice. Yeah, to this day, yeah. I stand corrected, yes.
All right, well, just I'm interested to know the kind of role of the tanks as being 24 hours ready.
Yes.
Can you explain that for us?
We're on call. You're on call 24 hours a day, right? And if a troop was back in the dat and all that, they got put under what was called ready reaction. They were to go at a minute's notice. Bang, boom, that's it, to go. And that was all the time. It never stopped, all the time. And when they said go, you just went, you just jumped in, started up, and you took off. Hopefully the rest of the crew were on the tank.
Did you have to be ready like when you're in the mess or?
Yeah, you could be in the shower, you could be sound asleep, it didn't make any difference, bang, you were ready to go. Get in there, bang, go. And off you went, yeah.
How would they keep in contact with you?
Radios. Yeah.
So you had to carry a radio with you? Or?
No. Your tent was there, right? And 10 foot away was the back of the tank. Like that. So it was out of tent, bang on the tank, and off you went, like that. Yeah. You're never too far away from it. It was part and parcel of your life.
What if they were trying to contact you if you're in the shower or if you're in the mess?
Oh, blokes told you. Yeah, you know. Move your ass. bang, and that's it. And you just dropped everything and you just ran to where you were, jumped in and off you went. Yeah.
That must be quite, not stressful, I don't know what the word is, but quite, you kind of held on to almost like.
Oh, it's just go like that. See, this is where discipline and training comes in. You know, you were trained for this, you know, and if you got called, it was just go straight away. To hell with the consequences, to hell with your meal, and all the rest of the stuff, yeah. There are other people behind you to clean up, fix up, whatever, while you went out. And, so that was it, yeah. But they were always on call.
So you get called to go, so you head out the perimeter.
Yeah.
How do you know where to go and all that?
That's when task force comes in. And that's where your squadron headquarters comes in. They get the map references, if it's a village or something like that, and you're directed the troop leader knows exactly where to go, hopefully, and he tells the commander of the Charlie call sign, which is the lead tank, and you go there. A lot of times, if it was a place where you knew, the driver knew exactly where to go. You know, because there was a bridge to cross here and stuff like that. And then you got into the area.
What about unfamiliar terrain and stuff like that?
The commander, he'd say, right, head down there until you strike a clearing, or wait till you get around the edge of the rubber plantation, and then throw a righty or something like that. So he could concentrate on other things, and you know exactly where to go. You know, and if you started to deviate or get a little bit lost or wayward, he'd bring you back online.
And tell us, did you go? You said you went out all tanks, or how many tanks would go out? Would it depend? Or
One troop, 4 tanks in a troop would go out. They might have a job to do here. Another troop might have another job to do over there. One might be going up to just south of Black Horse, which is where that hill is in that photograph. Another troop might be down at a place called Swen Mock, which is a shocking area. You know, yeah. I wouldn't wish my worst enemy to go to that bloody area.
What's that?
Eh?
What's the area like?
It was so dominated by VC. Yeah, it was their area like that, you know. And the shit always hit the fan when you went down there. Always hit the fan. And that's why none of us liked it, you know, because we were never down there in strength. You know, you'd have to have the full squadron, the Cav squadron, artillery, the engineers, you know, and a full battalion of grunts if you're going to make a really massive impact on that area. But they weren't always available, you see. So 5,000 troops at a time, you know, I mean, it's not a lot when you consider, say, a third of them were supply of backup troops, probably even half or more. So, you know, there wasn't a lot of other calls around, a lot of other jobs you had to do. So, you never had the firepower there for one time.
The nickname's important in the army? Or?
Yes and no. After NAM, no. No. Before I went to NAM and during NAM, oh yes, yeah. You have to have something that a person, you know, if they yelled out your name or something, not to do something like that because there was some danger there or something like that, you reacted instantaneously to it. So it did have its good points. But apart from that, after that, nah. Oh, we always abbreviated and bastardised names as we Australians do, don't we? Yes. And that'll still happen today. You know, like, I mean, I wore a T-shirt into the Vietnam Vet Centre, you know, with bugger on it. The name stuck. It's like that. No one's, people who really called me Trevor, they always called me Jonesy. You see? You take your last name, put a Y on the end, and that's what you're stuck with for the rest of your life, whether you want it or not. But no, nicknames at that time, yeah, were, you could say they were important, yes, yes.
Sorry, we diverted a bit. We were talking about being in the tank and rushing off to
a
call. That was my fault, anyway.
Yeah.
And I was just interested in, like, going to somewhere unfamiliar. Like, do you go through the jungle? Or?
Yeah. You try and pick the best way through. It's like another thing. You got to be there and see what the country was like, and then make up your mind. You know, bloody hell, am I going to go through this? You know, and you say, oh, geez, there's a track over there. But if I go on that track, is there a mine on that track? You see, and no, it's. I mean, you got 52 ton, right? That push a lot of the stuff out of the way. But then again, I've ran into bumps of clumps of bamboo that have literally stopped me in my tracks. It's that strong. And you got to, as I said, you watch out for marshland and certain areas. It's like a sixth sense, and you say, no, I'm not going to go over there. If I go over there, something's going to happen, and you tend to stay away from it or something like that. At 500-pound bomb crater I fell into, right? I didn't see it, and I wasn't going that fast through the jungle. I mean, it's a wall of whatever there, and all of a sudden it's just there. So by the time your reaction comes in, the tank's on the point of balance, and in you go. And it's a bloody big hole that you go in. So, but you don't know it's there. You do not know it's there. Although, there was one time there, I was going through, and it was thick as anything, and I just stopped. I just stopped the tank. I said, I'm not going no further. I said, there's something there. I couldn't see it. Could not see it. They called the engineers up. There was a 500-pound bomb set to blow about 2 foot in front of me tank. See? I revert back to that sixth sense. That's there. It says, stop. You may have felt it on the road sometimes, or doing something in the house, or something like that, and something will, in your subconscious, will just say, stop, or slow down, or look, or something like that. That's exactly what we had over there. Oh, well, I had over there. Didn't work all the time, but most of the time it did, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the dangers, like what kind of traps could be set for you?
Oh, look, mines. I mean, you can't see them, you know. We lost 2 tank drivers the regiment, you know, and one was his own fault because there was a drain plug in the driver's hole. And Nick Hannaford was a bit of a, I don't know, funny kind of bloke, and he put his drain plug in from the inside, not from underneath, where it had that flange, which, you know, stopped it coming through. And he ran over a 500-pound mine. The plug went straight up. Unfortunate, you know, but the other fellow, James Kerr, he ran over a mine. It was just too big, and unfortunately, they both died. But they were the only 2 killed in action that our tank squadron suffered. There was a lot of other injuries and wounds and all that, but they were the only 2 killed in action, you know. See, because the tank driver being close to the ground like that, if you're going to hit a mine, who's the first one? Yeah, so it was a chance. You cross the road, you get hit by a semi-trailer, you know. It's a chance you take, you know.
Could you detect the mines at all, or were they well hidden?
Oh, extremely well hidden, yeah, extremely well hidden, yeah. A lot of them were command detonated. Now, command detonated is electronically detonated, which means someone sitting in the jungle, sitting there with a plunger, waiting for your tank to go over it, then he hits the button and that mine goes off at exactly the right time to cause the maximum damage. The other ones that are just set in the things there, a lot of anti-personnel mines we used to run over. We didn't know we were running over them, right? Because they didn't hurt a tank. And but the bigger ones, oh yeah, you knew what they were like, yeah. Some of the APCs you saw when they ran over a mine, and after they peeled the poor grunts out, or washed them out, for want of a better word, it was just opened up like a can, like that, yeah. So, but then again, the APC was a lot smaller and not so well armoured as what a tank was.
Did you feel at all, considering these kind of things, did you feel at all a bit kind of, claustrophobic almost in the little small session? No, you. I didn't like that because you tested for that at the school at Armoured Centre, whether you suffered from claustrophobia, and if you did, you were transferred somewhere else. No, I think you're in there, your mates are in there as well, and I think that takes a lot out of being claustrophobic. But no, being claustrophobic, no. I mean, you can close all the hatches down, and I'm talking to you from here, you're not going to be claustrophobic. But if you weren't there, and you were in there by yourself, it could be a different matter. So. Well, what would happen if something happened to you, like about driving the tank? What would it happen with the other three? Like you were talking about these two drivers which had
they'd shit themselves.
Because they can't have controls? Or?
Yeah. Especially if I'm doing about 30 mile an hour and something happened to me, and next thing this tank's still doing 30 mile an hour, right? One of them would come out of the turret, try and drag you out, whatever, and try and get in there and stop. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Or they could turn the fuel off inside, but that wouldn't stop any matters because it only makes the tank bloody hard to start again. They're about the only two ways. Yeah.
So it just keeps going if there's no brake. It doesn't automatically just stop.
Oh no, it doesn't automatically stop. You see, you go there with your leg pressed on the accelerator, providing your foot's on the accelerator. That tank's going to keep on going. Yeah, until you might get into an area where you need to change gears. But if you're not capable of changing gears, she'll probably stall on you like that. That's not a way of stopping. But no, there was no way. There was no emergency stop button. None whatsoever. No.
An image just came to my head of, when you're learning to drive on a hill and you stall, yeah. It's quite stressful.
Stressful? God!
What would it be like in a war zone stalling?
Oh, well, yeah. But then again, you're a lot more experienced like that. And, yeah, I can certainly understand it, the language that comes out is quite extraordinary, and what to do with certain parts of the tank. And yeah, it can happen, but it is. If it happens, it happens. That's the way we accept things like that. If it happens, it happens, And afterwards, we laugh about it, You say, "You bloody stupid idiot," like this, and yeah.
And apart from anti-tank mines, were there any physical things like holes or traps that the VC would make, or?
Oh yeah, they're all over the jungle, but they didn't affect the tank.
Yeah, that's what I meant, anti-tank kind of defences?
No. Well, none that I ran into, none that I saw like that. No, because they were just too big. And they'd be very difficult to hide and all the rest of the stuff. No, it was mainly the grunts and engineers that struggled with these small, the anti-personnel mines, punji stakes, all those horrible other things that were in the ground. A tank, mines and RPGs. They were the only two things that could harm it. Yeah.
What about sniper fire at your head sticking out? Was that a
I,
worry?
I never experienced any. It may have happened. You don't know. Later on, we got told to close down, and which means you close your hatches, and they made us put on flak jackets. And I said, oh, well, I'm inside a 52-ton tank. And I said, this dickhead wants me to put on a flak jacket. You know, if a shell gets through the middle, right, what the hell is a flak jacket going to do? Absolutely nothing, but we had to wear them, yeah. And it got hot in there. Boy, jeez, it got hot. Because you're changing gears, you're working, right? You got the heat of the tank, you got the heat from outside, and you're trying to slave away and change gears, yeah. I mean, closed down, I agree with, right? Wearing flak jackets was just totally stupid as far as I was concerned, you know, yeah. I mean, it was hard enough changing gears in there without having a bloody flak jacket on. I mean, we used to use them for seats. Really good seats. They're good seats, actually, yeah. Nice and comfy. But, no, bloody, not wearing flak jackets. Hate the bloody things. I still do today, actually.
What would you were talking about seats, what would you take out with you if you had to go stay the night for an ambush? Or
Oh, nothing. Yeah, your tank was all ammunitioned up, right? That was standard procedure, whether you're in camp or out. That was standard procedure. You had certain rations, you had your water jerry cans in the back, sometimes 33 water jerry cans at the back there. Or you had your oils, you had... everyone had their own cache of, what can I say, smokes, goffers, change of clothes. Yeah, so it was like a mobile house. You jumped in, start up, off you went, you had everything with you. Because you always wore your pistol, or your weapon. Always carried your weapon no matter where you went. You went to the shower, you took it. You went to the toilet, you took it. Sometimes they come in handy, there's a bloody cobra sitting in the corner, you know, yeah. But, yeah, it's... the tank was self-contained, basically. But it was heavily dependent on resupply in regards fuel and water. Fuel and water were the two biggest things. Because the Centurion tank, you know, I mean, I hate to pay for the fuel, what it used to go through, you know, especially low gears through the jungle. I just used to chew up gallons and gallons of fuel like that. Water, reasonably good on water, but then again, it could go through 30 gallons of water before you can blink, you see. So that's why I used to carry so many jerry cans on the transmission decks. You'll see them in those photographs. We've got our feet resting on them. They're all full. Every single one of those jerry cans are all full. We used to give water to the grunts too. And our spare rations we used to give to the grunts because they were plod through the jungle. They couldn't carry the stuff that we used to carry. So anything spare we used to give them to them, you know. But geez, they used to get pissed off and bloody we're out there and we'd have showers, you know, and put on a flying suit. This is in the middle of the jungle, you know. Put on a flying suit and say, oh, what are we having for tea tonight? Oh, we'll have steak. And take, because we had these big army things, metal boxes on the back. And we'd have ice in there with steak, beer. And the grunt's sitting down there eating out of a little can like this and drinking warm water. And we go, if you got it, flaunt it, you know, like that. But if we had any left over that we could give away, we would give it to the grunts, yeah, because we could carry it. No, I mean, it was good, that, yeah. Nice ice cold beer after it.
And so you're out there in the jungle or wherever.
Yeah.
What kind of place would you set up for the night?
Wherever you stopped, you know, yeah, wherever you stopped. That didn't matter so much. What mattered so much was the amount of stand to, whether it was 25%, 50% or 100%. 100%, no one slept. Everyone was in their positions ready to go. Machine guns cocked, yep, ready to fire. That means, you know, the shit was going to hit the fan. And, that's what it was like. If it was just, you know, low key or something, one person up there behind a 30 cal for the whole troop. Or no, hang on, one per tank. Yeah, sorry, one per tank. And the situation demanded, or didn't demand, stated what level you're on.
And so there's 4 tanks. What do you set up in a circle or?
No, back to back, so you can walk from tank to tank like that. Yeah. Most of us had 100-gallon fuel tanks on the back, and they just used to touch like that, and you walk around like that. You see, no one could get between you, and mutual defending fire. It was really good like that, you know. Yeah. Then I went to 3-man troops. Oh, sorry, not 3-man, 3 tank troops. That's when this Cameron come over. And that's when I made up 5 troops instead of the 4 troops in the tank squadron. And that's where I went to 5 troop and drove for that person. Yeah. And I said, 3 tanks. I said, straight away, you've destroyed a quarter of their firepower. You know, so I didn't agree with it at all, but then again, you're only a trooper, you're only a tank driver, you know. Let those people make the decisions. No, bloody 4 tanks in a troop, 4 tanks in a troop. They even did that with the Leopards, when we got the Leopards in 76, 77, something like that, I think it was. And like that, and I said, you're destroying something that's worked brilliantly over the years, you know, for the sake of money or something like this. You know, I said, no, not good enough, you know. Yeah. I said, you've got to have a 4-tank troop, a 4-tank troop. Yeah. It's something that works really well, exceptionally well. Well, actually, the British had it, we adopted it, and the Americans adopted it. That's how good it bloody works. And the British stick to it to this day, the Americans stick to it this day, with the Australian Army being penny pinching of 3 tank troops.
It ruins that defensive setup, doesn't it?
It doesn't actually ruin it, but you lost a quarter of your firepower, and a quarter of your firepower in a tank troop is one hell of a bloody lot of firepower. I mean, you've got a 105mm gun, and you've got 2 MG3s. That's on the Leopard, and like that. Whereas the Centurion, you had a 20-pounder gun, which is 84mm, a 50 caliber machine gun, and 2 30 caliber machine guns. That's a lot of bloody firepower for one tank to put down. You take that quarter away, shit, that's a lot of firepower gone, a lot of firepower.
How would you set up at night? I know you talked about the defences, you know, 25%, 50%, 100%. But how would you set up at night, you know, sleeping with tents and so that the VC wouldn't come and attack you?
Don't sleep on tents, in tents.
Yeah,
Sleep on the tanks.
Sleep on the tanks.
Sleep on the tanks, yeah.
So the tents were just in camp, basically. Did
Oh,
you show
yeah.
the picture?
That was a bivvy, that was. Where we were, because I knew I wasn't going nowhere because I didn't have a motor, and you just drag it out. That's what's called a bivvy. It just fits on the side you're tied up on the side of the tank. And as you can see, it's not exactly low, or high, I should say. And I think we had stretchers, I'm not too sure. And you just had a stretcher and you just laid on the thing, and that's how you slept. No sheets, no pillows, no nothing like that, no jammies.
Teddies. No teddy bears. No.
I think one fella did have a teddy bear, I think. It was his good luck charm. Yeah. It was like 1080, a bloke, tank driver. He had a dog over there called Whiskey. Yeah. It's the same as an imaginary. Yeah. But he walked around every day. Whiskey, get here, you mongrel. Whiskey, come like this, yeah. He used to have a dog bowl and a chain and a leash, like that. And he'd walk around like this, yeah. And out in the middle of the jungle, you know, you'd hear it in the morning, Whiskey, you dirty mongrel, you pissed in me boots again. you know, like that. And everyone used to crack up laughing. I mean, it broke the monotony. It gave you something to laugh at, you know, like that. Yeah, oh, whiskey. Yeah, 1080. Well, that was his name. Ian Bignell was his name, but 1080 was his nickname. And no, whiskey is imaginary dog, yeah. If you ever meet him, ask him about it. Yeah.
Well, at night, how good would you sleep when you're out in the field, you know, when you're not on watch? Like,
Well, I got told I snored a hell of a lot because I used to sleep on the track guard right beside my driver's hole. So if anything happened, I just had to roll in my hole and I'd be right to go. There was a lot of night noises, birds, bald pigs, and God knows what else. I mean, it's dark out there, you know, and there's no street lights, right? There's no street lights, trust me. And sometimes you slept, sometimes you didn't sleep, you know. If you had a feeling, you stayed awake. If the word come down, you know, this is going to happen or this could happen, right? Yeah, the last thing on your mind was bloody sleep, yeah. Apart from smoking. Jumped in here. This is good, yep.
I'm just curious to know, like, this might be a stupid question, but why would they have you out there rather than, say, in the camp waiting to respond to something? Like,
Because that's where the shit was happening.
oh, so when shit was definitely happening.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I mean, intelligence reports come in. They interrogate and then throw them out of helicopters. I don't know what they did, you know, like that. And then they say, well, hang on, this is happening in this area here, right? Now, we've had word that there has been a lot of movement in that area like that. So let's force the issue. Let's go and investigate. Let's go sit in their backyard for a change and see what type of response we get. All things like that happen. So, yeah.
So
Sleep was something that, I mean, especially to a soldier, sleep is one of the most precious things you can have. But when your life depends on it, you throw the sleep out the window, trust me. You know, and because they might say, right, hey, start up, let's go, bang. And you have to move straight away. And if you're wide awake, it helps. And if you're alert, it helps. Because as you know yourself, in that period from a deep sleep, the full awakeness can take up to, say, 15, 20 minutes. So...
I can't imagine you'd sleep at all almost. Or...
Yeah. You got to learn. If you don't sleep, right, you're going to lose something. Your alertness and your effectiveness. You have to have sleep, right? And yeah, so you do have sleep. But there are situations where you got to stay awake all night. Yeah. But you accept that. You're on a high, right? And then you slowly come down after you have a sleep.
And I guess you know that you could have contact because you've been sent there for that reason.
That's exactly right. You know, you're not out there to hold a kindergarten party or have a swim in a river or something like that. You're there for a reason, so therefore you accept that. And once you've accepted that, you're fine. Yeah, you're fine. You sit there and something moves, you shoot the bastard. Irrespective of what it is or who it is, you shoot it.
Bugger, you mentioned in the last tape you were talking about something, and it just made me think about drugs. If you were offered any drugs during Vietnam?
They were there. They were available. Marijuana. That's it. I tried it once. I did not like it. All I wanted to do is make me go to sleep. I ended up in the wire trying to get to my tent, and I laid there on the wire all night, and I've never touched it since. Yeah. No, I mean, it was there. But one thing I will say, I can't speak for other units or whatever, in our unit, nothing was ever taken or smoked out on operations. No, it was a unwritten rule, you know, you do, you get your head kicked in. It's as simple as that, yeah. No, as I said, tried it once, like most people, try it first, see what it's like, and I went, "Ooh, I don't like this stuff at all, And also I got hungry too. But no, as I said, tried it once, never touch it again. Never.
The other thing was that we picked up on it a little bit, but the fact that you had a pretty strict timeline when you went in as support to get out before would it be the artillery started firing their stuff?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, did tanks ever get caught there in their own crossfire, in their own fire? If you know what I mean?
No. When you got reacted to anything, it was flat out to get there. Because the quicker you got there, hopefully the less casualties there were. And no, I wasn't ever caught in artillery fire, although some did come close, right? But that was planned. No, I can honestly say that no, it never happened. There were cases of it happening, of course, around a faulty round, and it dropped short, Unfortunately, but that's a fact of war. It will happen. Aircraft dropping short like that. We had a crew commander who we were dropping smoke grenades all around us to show the choppers above us where we were, so not to fire at us. And this dickhead dropped a red smoke grenade over the side. Red designates where the enemy is. Yeah. So it was check fire, like that. Yeah. So, but these things happen. Yeah.
What would be the usual amount of area between yourself and the VC when you're shooting, when the tank is in action?
Oh, God. Could be 5 foot, could be 50 foot. There's no guarantee. You can't say, well, you can't fire, and until we're 100 metres away or something like that. Yeah, I mean, the jungle's very thick, very close. And one could pop up just over there and fire an RPG at you or something like that. Or a AK or something like that. I mean, yeah, there was no space. Nothing there whatsoever. Because actually, when you think about it, the closer they were to you, the less likely you were to call in artillery and an airstrike, because it would destroy you as well. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Closer you get, safer they'd be. Well, that's the way I'd work it anyway. So yeah, and I'm sure, I mean, they weren't idiots. They were bloody good fighters and all that. And I'm sure they thought exactly the same. The closer they get, the less strike of the less chance of an airstrike coming in at you. So.
Now, Bugger, one thing that we haven't talked about in detail is what happened to your back, because it's fairly obvious that you've got a pretty bad back.
Yeah.
Now, you said that this was the time, tell me if I'm wrong, you went in to get the Kiwis out.
Yeah.
You got them out.
Yeah.
And then you went back in.
We went back in again. We lined up, we're going forward, and then I seen this thing, and then there was an explosion, and that's it. I can't elaborate for one simple reason is I wouldn't have a clue. I would not have a clue. But apparently I had a badly bruised and compressed cervical spine. That's what the x-ray showed up. I spent 3 or 4 days in the hospital down at Vung Tau, and then they sent me back to the unit on light duties. And I said, what are you talking about light duties? I said, you sent me back to the DAT. I said, you're on full duties, full operational duties. And I went back there. That same day I got back, it rained. I slipped on the engine decks on the thing. We back went again. I went to the ROP, he gave me a couple of painkillers, I went back to my tank, jumped in the driver's hole, and we're out on operations that night. So that's it.
Was that the last time that you saw a doctor about it?
Yeah,
Up until recently?
yeah. Just live with it. Even when I was back in Australia, when I was, got married, and I'd get up in the morning, she had to put my socks, my boots on, and dress me because I couldn't bend over. See, you didn't go to the doctors because they said, oh, you're nothing but a bloody whinger and a malingerer. So you didn't go. No one took x-rays, no one did anything like that. It was just, yeah. That's why I don't like army doctors.
Wendy was saying that you were in a competition winning a Jeep.
Yeah, well, it wasn't an official competition. We went down to Vung Tau. We had 2 days, 3 days off or something like that. This is the first time I've ever had any time off whatsoever.
After how long, sorry?
7 months, the first day off, and I said, right, so we changed our NPC into Piastre and that, and I changed about $300, $400 into it. And there's 275 Piastre to the dollar. So I had a wallet that was about this thick. We got horribly drunk, which is our whole aim, sit down and relax, We probably slept with a girl, I have no idea, I still couldn't tell you. And we got in this drinking contest with these Yanks, and a beer contest first off, and we just left them for dead. And then they said, come on, we'll get you on the bourbon and scotch. We said, yeah, fine. We're still standing. Just. They're all comatose, like this. And the bet was a Jeep. And being in our slightly inebriated states, we took the Jeep. Well, we won it fair and square, I reckon, and we had it towed back when we went back to the DAT. And we had it parked out the front where the tank was. We went to sleep, that night, and next morning we hear this, what the bloody hell is that? And I rode over, I said, and it was SSM, Squad and Sergeant Major, I said, that's a tank. I said, Jesus, I said, some people, He says, not that, what's this Jeep doing here? And all of a sudden through the alcohol fog-filled hungover brain that was there, I went, oh shit, So we got out there, we said, we won it. He said, where did you win it? And we told him, and about an hour later, the American Provost turned up, looking for the Jeep. So we had to give it back. We were really upset about that, yeah.
But you won it fair and square.
We won it fair and square in a legitimate contest, what we call legitimate, and yeah, we had to give it back. Yeah, we were really pissed off at that. We were going to use it for our own personal use, yeah.
Just talking about when you had a few days in Vung Tau, I've heard that it was a pretty wild place when everyone went on leave there.
Yeah.
Do you remember the kind of procedures that would happen with the girls, or didn't you partake in any of the brothel exercises?
No, I didn't. No. I honestly did not. It's not because I'm gay or anything like that. I just didn't want to catch anything, because otherwise I got to come home. And they wouldn't let you come home if you had a disease. You had to stay there till it was cured. And then they send you home, so yeah. But we just, there was girls all over the place, there was no getting away from them. And you paid them and all that, well, blokes paid them, and they either spent the night with them or bloody something like that. But, they were very attractive, girls, and like this, but, they walked up and say, oh, you buy me Saigon tea, and what's this, and I don't know what the response from most blokes were, Oh, I bought a couple of them,
It's supposed to be scotch, but it was only watered down tea anyway, you know, but you paid for scotch. To Mama San. And no, you just, yeah, no, I just said, nah, not interested, you know, go away. And some got really feisty over being pushed away. Yeah, I just say, no, piss off, go away, I'm not interested like this, you know, and sooner or later they got your message, yeah.
What about when you were only in hospital then for 4 days with your back? Is that right?
3 or 4 days, something like that, yeah.
And how were you treated by the hospital staff?
Oh, fantastic! You know, the doctors, the sister, and the orderlies were absolutely fantastic. You know, they're really great. But when we were down today, they had this concert on, and they took us down in wheelchairs there. And we're sitting down in the front there, and this fella came over and goes, oh, you know, we're sorry about this, and you have our deepest sympathy. And I remember saying this right now, and I make no apologies for the language. And I said, I don't want your fucking sympathy. And put my hand up, and the nurse wheeled me back to the hospital ward, you know. And that really cheesed me off, the way they said that, you know. Oh, you have our deepest sympathy. And on the same token, they come back to Australia, they'd be out there protesting about you fighting in Vietnam.
Who was this person that said that
I
to
have
you?
no. He was an entertainer. He was an entertainer, you know, that used to come over and all that. And I just said, no. I said, you know, yeah, I don't want your sympathy.
Did you know about the Wharfies strike and the postal strike that also took place during Vietnam?
No, we heard about the Wharfies strike, but we didn't know how that was going to affect us. And as far as I can remember, it didn't affect us because we had our beer on the Japarut, you know. Japarut was a supply ship, HMAS Japarut, which brought over, you know, supplies and all the rest, and as I said, our beer. And I don't think that was interrupted. I don't think it was interrupted. You know, it may have been. I have no idea. But it was, as I said, it was a long time ago. But oh no, it's hard now to think about the demonstrations and all the rest of stuff and try to relate to where you were over there at the time and whether you were made aware of that or not. You know.
Now, what happened with the tanks coming home? Did you have to bring them home with you?
No, we had to load them on a Japanese ship, something Maru. But then again, I found out that every Japanese ship's called something Maru. So which one it was, I had no idea. Yeah, we had to clean them all for quarantine purposes, you know, and then we transported them down to Cameron Bay, and then they'd be inspected by the person, and then they were loaded on to the thing. And my mate Max Collis and myself, who's another tank driver, we had to, you know, climb this bloody ladder all the way down the bottom of the hull, park the tank in the bottom of the ship, disconnect the batteries and the master switch, close the tank down, and climb this ladder all the way bloody up again, you know, like we had to do that for the whole tank squadron. And then they went home.
Sorry, now, this was this part of the deal that you take all the tanks home? I mean, how come they weren't staying there? The tanks weren't staying there?
It was part of the Australian withdrawal, initial stages of the Australian withdrawal, yes. And so they said, well, you know, we were one of the smallest units over there, one of the most powerful units, but one of the most smallest units. See, there's only 16 men per troop, 4 16s, and then probably about another 30-odd blokes from around. So you're probably looking just over 100 or something like that, you know, very, very small, but very powerful. So and we just put the tanks home.
So this was, you blokes were actually the first lot of tank withdrawals from Australia?
Yeah, we were the only tank withdrawals from Australia. We were the only tanks from Australia in Vietnam.
Okay.
Yeah,
There was only one squadron of tanks at a time in Vietnam. Mainly because we probably couldn't support anymore. Didn't have the manpower or the parts or the technology or whatever. I have no idea what it was. But we only had one squadron there, you know. We should have had a couple of squadrons there, I reckon, yeah.
Well, then tell us, were you there a year or just over a year or under a year?
Just under a year, just short of 11 months I was there. Just short of 11 months. And, no, it was, and that was long enough too, you know, yeah.
Now, can you tell us about what happened when you got your orders to, well, come home? So what happened then? You'd been cleaning the tanks.
Yeah.
Or did you get the letter saying you're coming home before you had to do all that stuff?
No, there was no letter. You just got told. The squadron's closing down. We're sending the tanks home. Bang. And that's it. No date was given or no nothing like that. But we had to be out of the country by a certain date. And yeah, that's what we did, yeah. The whole squadron closed down. You left home, which it was. And you went down, you slept on the floor. The next day you went in a truck down to Vungas, got in a Hercules and they took you home. Yeah, Hercules C-130 aircraft. Other ranks only. The officers 2 days before went home by bloody Pan Am jet. Yeah, yeah. RHIP. Rank had its privileges. Yeah, yeah. We were really cheesed off at this too because it was a shocking flight home in that Herc, believe you me. And we landed at Darwin Airport. God. We got out there and it's pouring down rain. You know. And I said, oh yeah, no worries, you know. That was it.
Well, then didn't they then fly to Victoria?
No, they flew us to Sydney. Because after we landed in Darwin, we walked in there and they said, I'll go in there and the mess will, you know, give you a meal. And it was just after midnight or something like that. And we walk in there and it's all lit up and it was a huge mess. And we walked over there and the cook said, "G'day fellas, welcome home." We said, "Yeah." He said, "What would you like to eat?" Well, look, I said, "This is a strange cook, you know. What would we like to eat?" And because chicken and steak, you know, we had it all the time. And turkey, I still hate to this day. And something that we couldn't get over there was fish and chips. So I asked for fish and chips. And I got it too. Fresh barra, yeah, and chips. And a 6-pack of beer. Clunk. He said, "Sit over there, mate, we'll bring it over to you." And it was bloody beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah. And then we go flying into Mascot because we had to land way out because we didn't have, weren't big enough for those towers, connecting towers to come to the doors. And we're all getting changed into our polyesters, you see, you know. Shit. Anyone got socks? Anyone got jocks? Because you never wore them, you see. And none of us had them. So we all got off the plane there. No jocks, no socks. Polyesters, 19 degrees. We froze. We literally froze.
And this is at Sydney?
Yeah, there was a Mascot. And then they said, "Oh, come around here, fellas. You see this person over there. He'll tell you how much leave you got, how much money you've got in your pay book." And they said, "One other thing. As soon as you get outside, right, or as soon as you can, get out of uniform and change into civilian clothes." And we said, "Why?" And for the first time it hit home about the protests and all the rest of the stuff. Yeah, that was the first time it really hit home. Get out of your uniform. Don't walk down the streets. Like that, so I ended up with, 5 weeks leave, and I think it was $1,700. And we had eggs thrown at us in a taxi as we were driving from Mascot Airport, from the international part of the airport to the domestic part of Mascot Airport, because I was going to Melbourne, you see.
What do you mean people just came flying out?
Protesters.
They were there?
Yeah. Oh, they knew when flights were coming in. Yeah, they must have got the information from somewhere. And it had to be someone in government. So, yeah. And we got on the plane to Melbourne, and I was with 2 SAS blokes, we drank the plane dry, I think, between Sydney and Melbourne, which isn't a long way, you know, but we drank it dry, I think. And then we did a pub crawl from Tullamarine Airport to the Dandenongs, where my sister was. That's a long way. There's a lot of pubs. We went to every single one, I think. I know, because I fell out of a taxi again. It's funny, I left doing the same thing, fell out of a taxi, and when I come home, I fell out of a taxi coming home. I mean, the taxi driver wasn't much better, you know, but it was good. Yeah, we enjoyed it.
What did you do when you're sitting in the cab going to the domestic airport at Sydney and having, fresh eggs thrown at you, so they're cracking all over the cab?
We should...
Were you just absolutely shocked because you didn't really know the full extent?
No. We knew there was, you know, a bit of stuff going on, but not this. We said, what the hell's going on? The two suspects wanted to get out of the taxi and attack him. Oh, yeah. And the taxi driver said, look, he says, sorry, fellas, but he says, this is what it's come to. You know, well, we had no idea what it was like. No idea what it was like. But that's it.
I was just going to ask you, can you recall for you what was the most frightening or scary experience that you encountered in Vietnam?
Yeah, when we went in, after we got those Kiwis out and we went back in again. Yeah, that would have to... It wasn't so much frightening, it was, well, the engineers have a saying, up the old red rooster and more piss. And it's like, what the hell? We're here, go in and do it, you know. Irrespective of the consequences. Sure, you felt apprehensive, I suppose, or, you know, you might have got a couple of butterflies and all that, but you had a job to do, and you just went in and did the job, yeah. Frightening, I think frightening comes in after everything's happened, settled down, and all the rest. And you turn around and you go, oh boy, geez, that was bad, like that. But not initially, no, not initially, no. And I think the more you think of it over the years, the more bloody frightened it does become. It does become when you think of possibly what could have happened, but unfortunately didn't. So, yeah.
There must have been some funny good times.
Yeah, we had some fantastic, I mean, there was one swimming trip which was only a day, and we got drunk again, you know. We always get drunk, I don't know why, you know. And we're coming back and we passed this town called Berea, and I still had about, quite a few thousand piastres on me, you know. So we got this Vietnamese beer called Barmy Bar, you see. And they're loading these bloody cartons up of this stuff, you know, going, shit, you know. It wasn't that far before we got back to the DAP. And this is in a tip truck, reminds you know. And so we're trying to drink this beer, you know, and we're just gaga. And the pearly gates at the DAP were where the provosts were and all that, you see. And they had to count the numbers going in on the trucks, you know. And they said, apparently they said to the truck driver, how many you got? He says, 4. Where are they? Have a look. We were just rotten, unconscious. They dropped the other 2 off. And they took me and my mate back to the squadron there, backed the truck up. They said, righto, get out. You know, we didn't hear nothing, you know. So up come the tipper. Yeah, tipped us out like this with all the beer, right? We all landed in it. No, the two of us, we didn't get one scratch on us. Not one scratch. And we laid there. No one come to help you, you know. I mean, this is really good, you know. And they're all watching from the sergeant's mess to see when we wake up. I woke up first, apparently, and then I tried to walk, you know, soldiers like over towards me tent, and they reckon it took me about 3 hours. It was only about 100 metres. But that's one of the funny things about it, you know. I mean, no one got hurt, you know. There was a shocking waste of beer, you know, but that was it. But no, apart from that, no, not too many other things.
All right, I was interested to know, like, when you're in Vietnam, month after month, getting called out 24 hours, do you ever get to a point where you just go, I just don't want to go out there and face that danger again? And
No, no. You were there to do a job, and we did the job. Yeah, that never occurred. Well, it never occurred to me, and I'm sure I can speak for a lot of other blokes too, who exactly the same thing. No, you're there to do a job. You did the job.
but what about, okay, you're there to do the job, you want to, but what about just a feeling of like, oh God, not again?
No,
Huh?
no, never, no.
What did you think of the way the Vietnamese fought the war? Well, not all the Vietnamese, but the Viet Cong.
They were good fighters. Oh yeah, bloody good fighters. But some of their, well, I won't call them tactics. Some of the things they did were unspeakable, and they still are unspeakable. It was a different war, you know. They said, oh, they had us, you know, beaten at any given time. The Battle of Long Tan, we kicked their asses. One Australian company defeated a full battalion of you know, caused a massive casualties like that. And that was only one company. So I think that a message was sent to them, you know, don't mess with us. Do not mess, don't come any further south. Don't try and bring communism any further south towards Australia, otherwise we're going to get really pissed off. Really pissed off. And I still believe that to this day. It was like a warning to them. And people ask me, oh, you want to go back on a tour of Vietnam? I said, are you crazy or something? I said, no way, bloody no. I hate the country. I hate the, well, I don't hate a lot of the people, different situations there, but I just, you know, no, would never go back. No.
Well, how do you feel about that idea that some people say that the war was lost? Do you see it that way?
If the politicians would have butted out of it and left it to the military, right, we would have won. We were all gassed up, bombed up, ready to go. We were waiting on the word. And it come back through, they said no. The politicians were not willing to accept the casualties which it would have incurred, going right up to the Chinese border. But we were willing to do that at one stage, yeah. And we went, oh boy, this is it. You know, this is going to be the real stuff, you know, like that. That never happened, you know. It should have happened. It should have happened. I mean, look at North and South Korea, you know. 1953, I think, the armistice was signed in there. And they're still fighting and bloody bickering like that. We could have just gone, bang, righto, this is it, pal, end of story. And that's the way it should have been. You know, that is definitely the way it should have been, yeah.
Well, considering that's your thought, how did you feel when you saw the pictures in 1975 on the TV? Or
pissed off. Yeah. Pissed off. Thinking that, you know, what was going to happen after that, you know, to a lot of the South Vietnamese people. But we just pushed it out of our minds and said, well, we're back home in Australia, we'll just get on with our lives, you know. But as you said, those pictures with that tank going through the gates and all that, you know, are still vivid in my memory today as what it was back in 1975. Yeah. I mean, I honestly believe with the proper support and reinforcements, we would have kicked their goddamn asses. Really kicked their goddamn asses, yeah.
So did it leave you with a bit of a sense of dissatisfaction, or?
No, you just basically got on with life, you know. Yeah, you said, well, you can't change anything now. I mean, you're only a little pawn, you know, on the entire chessboard, you know. You're not a knight, you're not the king, you're not the queen. You're only a little pawn. and you're there to be used, utilised, sacrificed, and then put away in a box.
So you came back, you continued on in the army, that's right?
Yeah, I initially signed up for 6 years, so I was in till 74, 75 at least anyway. And then I just got married, and so I signed on for another 6 years. And then after that, I just, I went, things changed, and they didn't accept, I don't know, a lot of the new breed were coming in, and I don't know what it was. If you're a sniveler, you got promoted. If you had a loud voice and you were good at drill and all that, you got promoted. They forgot about the basics of getting down to tank hangars and working on the tanks, going out there and practicing tank warfare, which is what it's all about. And it just went, I don't know, bloody, You couldn't say anything, you couldn't do anything, bloody, like this. It become like a kindergarten. You walked around with a packet of tissues and a packet of boiled lollies and leave passes. That's what it was like. I stayed, as I said earlier, I had that alcohol problem, work with coffee and Coke and all that. But they didn't do anything, That's what stopped me from getting promoted. And besides that, I spoke my own mind. If a bloke was a dickhead, I called him a dickhead, and I didn't give a damn what rank he held, which didn't go down real well. And I hated snivellers. They were arseholes. So when I got out, I just made the complete break. I been offered to go back for reunions and all the rest of the stuff, and I didn't even bother answering the replies. I just said, no, I want to just want a complete break, yeah. And I'm still like that today. I just say, no, thank you. No, thank you. But there is one other instance where we were marching on Anzac Day. We used to march down the streets with all the rest in Victoria. And we were there, and I was just behind the guidon there. The guidon was our standard. Well, they do have a standard now, I've been told. And we were marching down, and there was yelling type thing. And this woman, and she had beautiful blonde hair, but her face was ugly. It was bad. It was ill. And she spat on me because I had medals. And she called me a child killer. And then when we finished the march, we went back to the Army Reserve depot there. I was sitting down there, and my head was down, and I was thinking, and he came over to me, and he says, "Not nice, is it?" And I turned around, I said, "No, sir, it's not nice." I said, "But why?" I said, "Why?" I said, "We did a job, we did a bloody good job, and this is how we get treated." And I still have trouble today understanding, I didn't kill, well, maybe indirectly I may have, but I didn't deliberately go out there and do that. And I don't like to be spat on. And it was, it wasn't nice. It really wasn't nice, no. Mm.
We've heard these stories a few times from Vietnam vets. Yeah. Is this one of the hardest things for Vietnam vets to deal with? Oh,
you have no idea how hard it is. That's why a lot of us are recluse. We rarely leave our property. Like this is my tank troop area here. I'm safe in here, right? Out there, I'm not safe. And we do tend to react in different ways when someone says something, and most of it is violent. Very, very violent, yeah. Oh, this whole stupid fart who used to live next door. He had to go at me one day about Vietnam. Well, if he's laying on the ground, you know, like that, they had to get an ambulance to take him away. He said the wrong thing, you know, and I have no remorse whatsoever, you know. Actually, I was quite wild still after, and but I haven't done anything like that since. But I've been tempted to a couple of times. But yeah, it's not even my own family could understand. You know. Why did you go for? I was a regular. Order gets passed down. Right, you're off. Okay, I'm off. You know, like that. You know, it's an order. You learn to obey an order because that order could save your life at any given time. So when an order comes down, you obey it. I'm proud to be a Vietnam vet now. I spent that 6 years ago, you know, and I'd probably throw something at you, you know, because you're bigger than me. But no, we are slowly coming out of the woodwork, and people say, you know, you did a bloody good job. But why didn't they say that back then when we needed it? You know, like that. I mean, you see these people from the Gulf War and East Timor and all come back and they get these, you know, welcome home, fellas, you did a bloody good job. We come welcome home, we spat on. You see? And that's what's caused all these problems, you know. And I didn't even go back when they had the coming home march. I said, sorry, you're too goddamn late. You're too goddamn late. You should have had this when we come home, you know, instead of being shuffled off here and shuffled off there.
It's a bad feeling, eh?
It is a bad feeling. I'm getting very, very hypo right now, you know, because I don't like talking about it, right? But I've been told, my doctor and psychiatrist, it helps to talk about it. He goes, even though you get wild, extremely wild, right, it helps to talk about it, you know, so...
Well, what about some of the other things, like you mentioned this is your tank, this room?
Yeah.
What about, say, going to a restaurant? Were there any things like you have to check it out?
I always do. When I go see a doctor down in Brisbane, I fly down, you see. I can't drive down because of my back, right, and because I don't know Brisbane at all. I won't go down by train because it's confining, and I'm in that train for 3.5 hours, you know. I'd end up hitting the button and say, stop the train, and I'll get off now. I'll be standing out there in the middle of nowhere type thing. A bus is totally out of the question. Whereas a plane, even though they say, oh, but that's confined, I said, yeah, for 40 minutes. You see, I can handle that, and my wife's there with me. She has to travel with me. She's my carer, right? Otherwise, I'll lose it. It's, I don't know, you know, certain things... I can't go to the pictures, right? It's dark, it's confining, and I don't want no one sitting behind me, you see? So, pictures are out. My wife loves going to the pictures, you see? That's a very sore point in this house. Don't bring it up. I have good moods, I have bad moods, you know, like that. And but my wife accepts it. Well, we've been married 30 years. You know, she's been fantastic over those years, you know. She's put up with the bad, she's put up with the good. She understands my mood, well, thinks she understands my moods at different times. My two boys, I apologised to them when I found out I had PTSD. I thought I was normal. I wasn't normal. I thought I was, so I apologised to my two boys. And they turned out and said, Dad, you don't have to apologise, we know, like that, which helped me a hell of a lot. But the Vietnam Vet Centre here in Bundaberg has helped me a hell of a lot. There's some bloody nice blokes here, the pension officers, the welfare officers, and all that. And yeah, we take one day at a time. That's it. We don't want special recognition or nothing like that. We just like to be recognised for the bloody good job we've done. which is still forthcoming. It hasn't arrived yet, and it probably won't arrive in our lifetime either. They'll probably wait for the last one of us to die. Then they'll say, oh yes, we'll recognise them now. So yeah, that's my belief.
Oh, a lot of people in public would like to,
Yeah.
like give you thanks, you know.
Yeah. Oh, there are, yeah. But people, when they hear you're a Vietnam vet, they say, oh, how come you're not crazy like the others? And you turn around and say, who said I'm not? And they won't come anywhere near you. You know, and you're perfectly normal. But that's the stigma that is associated with Vietnam vets.
Is there anything which sets off a bad feeling, like, some people say a car banging or a helicopter or anything like that?
Oh, every time a chopper goes past, I just glimpse up to the sky. I mean, Vietnam was a chopper war, and I just glimpse up there. Something going bang like that, I'll stop, and I'll probably jump a little bit, and I'll look around to see what it is. I mean, we can certainly differentiate between, a rifle shot or a car backfiring, but it's the instant it happens before your mind recognises it. And, there's still cases like that. I mean, we don't throw ourselves on the ground and cover our ears and all like that. That was some gung-ho bloody idiot who invented that thing. But, we have certain noises will set you off. I mean, I watched a serial of MASH one night, and because MASH was the first anti-war serial ever put on TV, anti-war, like that, to say how futile war is, and all war is futile. And a dog got killed. And I just lost the plot. I just totally lost the plot. And I spoke to my wife about it, and she goes, why? I said, I have no idea, and I was crying. And I said, I think it was an innocent dog got killed. An innocent dog got killed. And like that, but it did upset me a hell, and it still does. So whatever the meaning that was in there, certainly struck a chord.
What about sleep? Like, is your sleep all right?
I don't sleep, no. My wife sleeps in there. I sleep up there because I'm up all night. I'm up, and I've been married 30 years, and for the last, 4 or 5 years, we've been sleeping by ourselves. I mean, there's not much of a marriage, But she understands it, and like that, which is good. But, I get up about, 10 or 12 times a night. I'm lucky to put an hour together.
And that's probably because you got to that pattern in Vietnam?
Yeah, that's exactly right, yes. The doctors told me that, the psychiatrist has told me that, everything, right? It's all come from there, that spot.
It's quite a tough war on people, isn't it? Like, the conditions of it.
Yeah, and it's not only the blokes who were there, it's their families who it affects, and also other people as well. People say, oh, come around for a drink or a barbecue. I say, nope. I say, why? I said, I don't go out after night time. Yeah. And another time I say, all right, I'll come around. And then I'll be there half an hour and say, I'm going home. I'll come home again. You see? Yeah, so, yeah. So are we normal? Are we normal? Yes. Yeah.
So what makes you comfortable then?
Being here. Now my 2 boys are down on the Gold Coast. My wife, my dog. Knowing there are certain blokes at the vet centre who I can contact if I need to talk to someone. And having no one interfere with me. No one interfere with me at all. That makes me happy. Because as soon as someone comes in here and says this, and this, straight away the steam starts coming out the ears and I retaliate really bad. And I'll tell them to. And I don't give a damn who it is. I honestly don't give a damn who it is, no.
Is that why the other war veterans are so important, because they went through it as well?
Yeah, when you talk to them, you know, I mean, you don't go there to bleed on their shoulders or anything like that. That type of thing's banned. But when you say something, the other person understands and can relate to that. He said, oh, yeah, that's right, yeah, that was bad. You say, yeah, that's right. And that's the end of the story, like that. It's not as if they turn around and say, oh, well, what do you mean? Or something like that. They already know and they already understand, which helps you go a long way, a really long way.
Just a couple of quick questions. What about dreams? Do you have dreams of
Yeah,
being there?
yeah, I have dreams, yeah. I tell them to my psychiatrist, you know, and he said, I'm not going to try and work them out. I said, well, don't bloody ask me to either, you know. Yeah, I said, you asked me I had dreams, I told you, you know, like that. And that's the end of the story, yeah.
Okay, I'll leave it there. But
Yeah.
what about flashbacks? Like any memories which take you back?
Oh,
to being
yeah. So, some are funny, you know, and you'll, and then all of a sudden something will go the other way, straight away. I mean, dreams, they reckon dreams happen like that. A lot of them are unfinished, though. A lot of them, there's no ending to them like that, which leaves you scratching your head saying, well, what happened? See, if there's no ending, you know, it's like ripping the last page out of a book. You know, you go through the whole book, but you don't know how it finishes, like that. And, well, that's how I am anyway, you know. There's no ending, there's no finish. One day, hopefully, it might happen. And then I'll probably, well, I can't tell you anything because I don't know how it's going to finish. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I better wrap it up because of the time, and you've done enough already. So, look, what do you think it taught you being in Vietnam for yourself? Did you think you learned anything?
A lot of self-esteem. Stand up for your mates, no matter what the cost. And be proud of what you've done. Be extremely proud of what you've done, irrespective of the views of a lot of other the population there. Yeah. Don't flaunt it, of course. No, that's about it. Just be proud of what you've done. Yeah. Because everyone over there did a bloody good job.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts you want to add on top of that?
No, I'd just like to thank yourself, Keenan, and Heather. I mean, I didn't know what to expect this morning. I said, oh, yeah, what am I going to get? You know, John Laws or someone like this, bloody this, you know. And you've been fantastic during the day. Your prompting and all that. Otherwise, I would have sat here like a deaf mute. Right? You would have had, 7 or 8 tapes of nothing. Right? That's it. So, no, I'd just like to say thanks very much. Yeah. True professionals, yeah. Should have joined the army.